Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Yachts here. It is Tuesday, and we lost once again. 4 in a row now that we've lost, and we're now 5 games under 500. It is not where we want to be, of course. I don't want to be wearing the purple. I don't want to be sitting in front of this wall. The wall of lessons of how to win a game. You got to have heart, Muggsy Bogues' heart. You got to have hustle, JYD hustle, and you got to have clutch. Alvin Williams clutch. And in some ways, I'm going to tell you exactly why we lost last night right now. We lost the treasure map. And remember who had the treasure map? That was Fred VanVleet. That was Kyle Lowry, the guys that know how to get the win. And in some ways, I would say this right now. If we had Fred yesterday, we might have won that game last night because it was the kind of game where he would do stuff to like help us and win. And this is the kind of game that if he was on our team, we would have won. I'm telling you, I'm serious. This is that kind of game that we missed Fred tonight. We missed Fred last night. I'm gonna say that. All the things he's doing for Houston down there, all you Fred haters. You were so mad about us losing last night. Well, y'all chasing Fred out of town is a big reason why we lost last night because Fred was the guy who took care of games like that last night. And well, he's not on our team anymore. It is what it is. It's supposed to be this way. And that's why we have a different place where we're at. And y'all can't expect things to be like last year. Y'all can't expect things to be like 5 years ago when we won the championship. Y'all can't expect things to be like when we had DeMar and Kyle because we're in a new era. And it's on Scotty's timeline once again. And we're going to win when Scotty figures out how to be a winning player as the number one player on our team. So until Scotty completely figures that out, we're going to be losing a lot, y'all. And that's just how it is. It is what it is. And in some ways, this is only for the tough fans to go through. And anybody else who's having trouble or whining and complaining, well, the door's right there, motherfuckers. You can go right out the door and go and do something else with your life. If you really feel like you're wasting your time so much watching NBA basketball and the Raptors right now. That's what I tell all of them on Twitch, Twitter, or whatever places they are. They're saying, they're not going to be serious, and I'm not going to be serious about watching them. Okay, go ahead. We are not stopping you. And just like in a Facebook group or a chat, you don't need to announce your exit. Just fucking go. Is what I tell people like that. Now, I know that my audience, the people that sit here with me almost every morning at 9:30 a.m., they ain't like that. They're going to be there anyway. But yeah, a lot of these other people are going to be, whoop, well, I'm peacing out, y'all. Thank you. Bye. We don't mind. You don't need to tell us you're leaving. Just fucking go. All right. Thank you. That's how I feel about it. And you know how people do that in Facebook groups. They're like, oh, well, I'm leaving. Okay. Don't let the door hit you on the ass, motherfucker. Is basically how you are with that, you know. All right. Adriana is still here today. So I am going to try and keep this stream under 2 hours. So please, really don't write just extra shit in the chat today. Just keep it to the game. And let's really try not to repeat ourselves today. So we can just run through the whole thing. There are other things I want to cover too. And then hopefully we can be done around 2 hours. I want to do 2 hours today. Pretty hardcore, just 2 hours. Okay. All right. Let's see. Knock goes in first. Good to see Gerald Mayhew first in today on the chat. He says, feels real bad when you have 4 starters score over 20 points. All right. Let's start out with the 3 stars of the game for the game last night against the Knicks. A loss, in some ways a close loss. But separation was made by the Knicks in the end, and it could have been closer, but they kind of let them get away from him in the last couple minutes. My number 1 star is OG. OG was fantastic. 29 points, 11 of 20, 5 of 11. He finally got his shot back and his 3-pointers. He had 5 of 11 from 3, 2 of 2 from free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Only 2 turnovers, a -6, 29 points. OG was badass. That's his season high for the year. And honestly, he was dialed in. You know, OG after the game was optimistic, y'all. And listen, this is the kind of thing you need to hear. OG said this. He said, we're not winning yet, but we're making progress every day on all kinds of different things. And I still feel really positive about this team that we're going to win eventually. We're going to start winning these games that are like this right now. So that's straight from OG's mouth, that he sees it from within. And he says, we're getting better every day on all kinds of different things. And that he still sees a light at the end of the tunnel, that it isn't as dark and dire as some would make you think on social media, that OG himself sees good things coming for the Raptors. And I like that. The second star of the game, and some may disagree with me, is Dennis Schroeder. And I will tell you exactly why. Now, three guys got 20 points last night, as Nako has informed us, 29 for OG, so four with 20, over 20. Now, the other two guys that got 20 were Pascal and Scotty. And I disqualified them from being stars last night for two reasons each. First of all, Siakam's missed free throws were really key and important. So his four missed free throws kind of hurt us bad because we only lost by 6 points, and it was a lot closer in some ways than the 6 points. So the free throw stuff really mattered, including with Jakob. Jakob was the first person to get the line, and he failed to make either one of those free throws right off the bat, and that was really hurt us. As I've said before, the first person who gets the free throw line for the Raptors sometimes sets the tone on whether we're going to be hitting our free throws or not. So Jakob, man, I know you're not a very good free throw shooter, but you getting the line and missing the first free throw that you shot really did kind of set the tone for the line right at the beginning, because then Siakam got into it and he was really bad from the line, 3 of 7. So I disqualified him from being a star last night. But even though he played quite well otherwise, 4 steals, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 8 of 15 with 20 points, a +6 even. But no, Siakam, the 4 missed free throws disqualified you. And Scotty, I disqualified Scotty because of the highest plus minus once again. Once again, Scotty in a loss has the worst plus minus out of anyone. And it makes me wonder why his minutes are losing minutes. Why are Scotty's minutes losing minutes, y'all? Overall, he has the worst losing minutes of everybody on the team when he's out there. I'm telling you, there's things Scotty does that are super talented and amazing, but there's things he's doing out there that aren't winning things also. And that is what we need to figure out what they are to fix. And then he will become a winning player. But right now, some ways, Scotty, as talented and amazing, and what all he's doing on the court is not adding up to winning. And you can specifically pinpoint that his minutes on the court may be the problematic minutes, whether it's his minutes as the only starter with all the bench, whether it's the start of the game when they don't start well and then he gets subbed out and then Gary comes in. There's something about Scotty's minutes right now that are empty minutes and we're not winning for some reason while he's on the court. And I don't like that. We need to get that changed. And in some ways, Scotty needs to be aware of this and figure out the ways in his powers he can overcome what's going on with that. He had 20 points. He shot really well, 7 of 13. I like the 3 of 8. In fact, he should be 4 of 9, actually. They did take away one of his three-point shots. That was really kind of fucked up. It was very clear that his foot was behind the three-point line and that both of his three-point shots in that little section should have counted for 3. But I'm not totally clear on how they counted them. Somebody said they did not give him the extra point for the one where his foot, where he looked down and looked to see if his foot was there. I also thought it was really cool that Scotty was being aware of where his foot was so that he would not shoot a 2, but then they still gave him a 2 for it. That's the lesson from the last game in Charlotte when he didn't look at the line and shot a 2-pointer. So there you go. There's progress right there. Scotty is paying attention to where the 3-point line is, even if the refs aren't. 4 offensive rebounds, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, -10, 20 points in 38 minutes. You know, I want to give him a star because honestly, it's not a bad stat line. It's just that -10 tells me something because it's the worst one out of everybody. So that's why I gave it to Schroeder. It really was one of those guys I was going to give the second star to. And I picked Schroeder for this reason and this reason only. He shot 50%. First of all, he was 6 of 12 from the field, which is great shooting from him. 2 of 4 from 3, 6 of 7 at the free throw line, but he got 10 assists with 0 turnovers. You can't get mad at Dennis Schroeder for what he's doing out there. The man had a 10-0 assist to turnover ratio last night with 20 points. So he had 20 points, 10 assists with 0 turnovers. That is a fantastic stat line and a great bounce back for Dennis. So I'm going to give him his kudos for getting a 10 assist, 0 turnover game. That is really impressive, y'all. And that's why he's my second star of the game. My third star of the game is Malachi. That's right. Malachi was a mixed bag of failure and success. And I thought that mostly success last night. 4 of 5 from the field. That's fantastic shooting, Mally. 2 of 2 from 3. They look real good. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, +3 with 10 points. Yeah, we saw Malachi do amazing stuff at times, like really good defense. making these threes, but then we see him miss a layup. You see him make a turnover with Precious, trying to set something up. It wasn't totally perfect for Malachi, but overall, fantastic game. And he did get to interview after the game as one of the top players in the game last night. And he very much was talking about the team and what's been going on with it and stuff. You go, Malachi. I gave you one of the 3 stars last night, and I can't hate on your game last night. You actually did good stuff, and you played like what we needed. He says that sometimes the team needs me to shoot, sometimes the team needs me to pass, and I did a little bit of both last night, is kind of what Malachi was saying. So there's my 3 stars of the game for last night. Anunoby, Schroeder, and Flynn. It's a different 3 combination than we've had all year in some ways. All right, let's keep going in the chat. Let's see. Trevor J saying, good morning, Raptors family. No matter the loss, it was a better effort, but we had fun. We're going to be better. So people stop whining like little bitches. Wow. There you go, Trevor J. Yes, you were right. Trevor going the game and getting loud for the Raptors at MSG last night. And thank you, Trevor, once again for organizing that and getting a good crowd of Raptors fans in the enemy arena and getting loud down there and having a good time, even though the team lost. And now Trevor is telling me that he's got getting something together for a Philadelphia game very soon and going to the Philadelphia arena in the same way that he's gone to Barclay and MSG. He's going to go to Wells Fargo with a group of people very soon for the next Raptors game when they go visit Nick Nurse and the Sixers. So, wow, Trevor J, you really are an MVP. And the Trevor J Cup is so prestigious. It gets more prestigious every day when you do this with the fans, bringing them into the arena. The Trevor J Cup just goes up. It's like the Walter J Kennedy. It's the Trevor J Cup. You know, it's the same kind of shit. It's a lot of prestige. You're building it by doing what you're doing. Chris is saying that this team, we finally shot decent, and then the Knicks go for 60%. Barrett and Randall sure were scared of nothing out there last night. Their second unit guards, 8 Rs alive. All right, we'll do the team stats now. We'll get them right out of the way. Chris has told me to look at that stuff right now, and I will. This is very interesting what happened in the team stats. I'm going to say this right now. A big reason why we lost this game last night is we played the offensive pace that benefited the Knicks and not so much a defensive slowdown, keeping the score down. This is a problem, Raptors. The biggest problem y'all have right now is your defense. You're not holding teams down from scoring so much. We see the Knicks in their quarters. They scored over 30 points every single quarter last night, 35 in the first quarter and 38 in the last quarter. That is no good. Y'all cannot get in a scoring race with most teams in the league. You just don't have the capable, consistent firepower to keep it going. That Indiana game was very lucky in some ways that y'all won by 1 point. You can't do this with teams. You really got to keep the score total over around 100 and not so close to 130 because you're playing the style that they play. And in some ways, they're getting their scores, and we're going to get stopped at some point, or we're going to go cold at some point and not be able to keep up the pace. And that is really a lot of the reason why we lost last night. The defense was better. And this is what Darko said after the game. The defense just has to be better. We can't let these teams score so much on us, and it's really bad. They shot 60.5%, 52 of 86. We got 10 more shots on goal. And we still didn't make as many field goals as them. That's messed up. 49% for us, 60% for them. That's a big part of the game. Then we shot worse than them at 3 also. 36% from 3 for us, which is a better percentage than recently. Well, they shot 59% from 3. So they shot just as well as they did overall from 3-pointers, 17 to 29, with 3 more threes made than us. And then the free throw line. They actually shot worse than us at that, but we did have 8 missed free throws, and we lost by 6 points. So free throws really do matter, guys. You got to take care of them. And the culprits last night were Siakam and Pirtle. They were the ones who were really kind of missing the free throws for us the worst. But yeah, we didn't shoot as well as them, and that was really, really a big part. Now, the stats where we should won, as far as we're a bigger team and we should be winning the big team stats, we did not. We lost in the rebound battle by 4, 42 to 38, but we did have 17 offensive rebounds, which was very, very good. The points in the paint, we ended up losing, which I was shocked by this. I was like, this is something we should definitely win over the Knicks without Mitchell Robinson, but it was 52-56 for the Knicks in the paint. So they actually outscored us in the paint. And yeah, that's no good. Assists, we had 32 assists. I like that, but they had more assists. We really amazing 12 steals by the Raptors last night. That's fantastic, but 0 blocks. But I really like the 12 steals. That was good. We limited our turnovers. In fact, we only had like 2 turnovers for a big chunk of the game and ended the game with only 10. So we actually took care of the ball really well. So there's different areas that we're doing good things on certain nights, and then other things that we're not doing so good. And it's like getting the right set of things that we did right and beat the other team that adds up to winning. So it's like, oh, we did this and we won in this department, but we really failed in this department and it hurt us so bad. 3-point shooting. It's that kind of shit that's going on. Oh, one night we'll have a lot of turnovers and it's a problem. Well, then one night we don't have any turnovers, but we don't play well on defense and they score 136 points. So it's like we got to figure out the battles we need to win to get a winning formula and execute them so that it happens. It could very well be that Darko says, for us to win tonight, guys, we have to out-rebound them. We have to limit them to 25 points per quarter, and we need to make our free throws. And if he has like those bulletin points, these guys can think about it and be like, okay, these are key building blocks to establishing a Raptors win. And, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm just grasping at whatever kind of strategies and ways coaches can do things to encourage their team to get better. And I feel like that is one of them. Have mini goals as a team for different things so that they can beat them in certain stuff. I know Nick did this shit like crazy when he was our coach. So yeah, team stats, they look good in some areas, but in some areas, absolutely horrible, specifically field goals and 3-point percentage for sure. Let's see. G saying, I didn't bathe. I didn't bathe. Randall and Barrett took 21 shots each. With how efficient Pascal and Scotty were, if they took 20 to 21 shots each, we win. I know it's hypothetical. Scotty took 14 and Pascal took 15. All right, now we're getting back to this argument that's been said a couple times this year that the egalitarian approach of Darko is not really a good idea, and that we need to go and really dote on people like Pascal and Scotty. I mean, and I won't disagree with this. Once again, though, when we're looking at touches with them, we can't just look at their shot attempts. You got to look at their free throw attempts. So in some ways, when we look at it, Siakam got 5 shots. He got 7 free throw attempts. So that means, let's say he got 15 shots. So that's 15 plus, we'll say he got another 3 possessions from the free throws. And then he got 4 assists and 1 turnover assist, another 5. So that's 8. That's 23. So he got about 23 possessions where he was touching the ball. And then Scotty got 13 plus another 2. That's 15 plus another 5 plus 6. That's 21. So 21 for him. And then if you go to the other side, I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, I don't know. The usage of those guys is getting masked and obscured by defensive systems by the other side. Thibodeau's a defensive coach. And in some ways, he's really, really not wanting us to use Siakam and Scotty that much. And he's really forcing it away from them. That's why guys like Dennis get so many open shots, because defenses want to live with that. They don't want to let Siakam and Barnes get going. So, in some ways, that what Darko said after the game is exactly what they did to us. He said that this is what Darko said of the game, that in the beginning of the game, we let them have too much going too easy. And we allowed Julius Randle to get into a groove and start getting into his whole thing and really feeling good. And that he wanted the guys to be more physical with him and kind of like throw him off his game and mess him up. Well, that's part of what they're doing to our guys that messes things up. The good defense isn't just like guarding them and staying between them and stuff. In some ways, you got to agitate the guy that you're trying to stop on offense. And, that's something they do to our guys. That's why these guys yell and scream and they get hit in their arms. And they're like, where's the foul? And they get upset because they're physically playing them defensively with a little extra. And in some ways, sure, we can play sound defense and play man to man and keep up with guys. But if we're kind of just keeping with them, but not really trying to impede them aggressively, Well, Julius, he doesn't need much room, as we saw last night. In fact, the thing about those guys, they were making tough shots. It wasn't like our defense was slacking or lazy. We were there. It's just that Julius Randle is a very, very skilled offensive player, and he made a lot of shots that were very tough. But the thing Dargo said after the game is like, well, you can't let him get in a groove. You can't let him start getting feeling good because you're in trouble then. And that's the thing. We need Siakam to go and get in a groove and start getting to feel good. But the Knicks are saying, no, we're not going to let you. We're going to do things physically to impede you from getting to your spots and feeling good and getting in a rhythm. This is a really big part of it. I think that a lot of not knowledgeable Raptors fans that are very surface level on Twitter do not get this. That it is really dictated a lot by the defenders, the other team, the coach's scheme, and how they want to set up their defense on us. Scotty is not getting frozen out by his own teammates. Pascal is not getting ignored. These other teams are really, really trying hard to not allow us to use them. And that is usually the case in this situation. So it's not blaming Darko. It's not blaming anybody on the Raptors for being selfish and freezing them out. You should blame the defenses of the other teams and masters coaches of defense like Tom Thibodeau, and Nick Nurse when we play these teams. That is why when we're playing Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics, that these guys don't play as well because they are making their defensive schemes to stop Siakam and Barnes. So that's a big part of it right there. That's a big, big part of it. Trevor J saying New York Knicks beat us at our own game. More assists, rebounds, points in the paint. That's right, Trevor. I was surprised by that. In some ways, we should have dominated them, and at times we did. At times we did a lot of really cool stuff in the game last night. One of the things I really like was we did see more chemistry between Dennis and Scotty last night. There was some two-man game between the two of them, and it was very fruitful. In fact, I was so happy to see that. We had not seen enough of that. Dennis and Scotty playing off each other. It really, really good stuff with the team play last night. There were improvements in the game last night. There were definitely improvements in the game last night. Stuff with the passing, getting high percentage shots, getting really close to the basket. There were a lot of good things happening for the Raptors last night. It's just we didn't get the win. And once again, we just didn't get the win. It didn't add up to winning. The team has to learn how to win again. They're at that stage again. It's just how it is. Let's see. G saying, no, I didn't bath. I did the math. Okay. Autocorrect has me looking crazy. I'm okay with you. Like, seriously, if you really feel like there's something wrong happening, you're a little depressed, and you don't want to bathe, that's okay, G. You don't have to cover it up. Oh, you didn't do the math. Okay. Now I get what you're trying to say. Kareem saying Gary chose to bet on himself this year, and clearly he can't hit a parlay. Simply, he needs to do better. He's generating good looks, but nothing is dropping. Keep shooting, Gary. Things will start to drop. I think I'm exactly with Kareem on all this opinions. It's crazy. The man is getting wide open. Even his little, this is the thing, he's kind of weird, is other than him missing free throws so much this year, is when he does these little floater shots, these one-handed, like quick shots over people like 10 feet away from the basket, when he gets into a little penetration, he missed the first one so short. It does look like he's weaker. Like he's some sort of weakness. Like he's not as strong as a person right now because the way he shot up that shot, it was short at the first time. He got the second one. He did make a little short mid-range at one point with his little toss-up that he gets when he gets in, the one I'm talking about. But he missed all four of his threes. 2 for 8, 4 points, a +3 with 2 assists and 1 rebound. He's killing my fantasy team, honestly. He is absolutely killing my fantasy team. And the format that we have in our Yahoo Raptors Freak Fantasy League does not help him because it really penalizes people for missed shots in our league. And boy, is he like one of the worst players you can have in this league because of the way he misses shots right now. It sucks, man. You're right. This is a year he's supposed to be earning money. Well, get that figured out, Gary. And once again, it's not because he's not starting, y'all. It is not because he's not starting. So there's so many people trying to shake up our starting lineup right now. And I'm glad that I'm ignoring them. I'm glad that Darko's ignoring them. And even Kurthika is putting out all these stats. I love you, Kurthika of TSN Stat Department. You're amazing. But you know what? You're turning to the dark side recently, and you need to chill. I know the stats are stats and they're facts, but I wish you would use your powers for good instead of bad. And in some ways, trying to change the starting lineup is for bad. Trust me. Even though things are bad right now, I'm telling y'all, they could be even worse. They could be even worse if we switch Gary into the starting lineup. All y'all think that that's the right move, but it isn't. It is not. And I'm going to tell you, and I know that, and Darko does too, obviously, because he hasn't changed the starting lineup. Everybody who's trying to politic for that right now, just stop. Just stop. Let these guys do their job. They're in the mud right now, and all y'all second guessing them and going just overly critiquing them in those kind of ways. Just stop. They make the decisions. The coach knows better than any of you fuckers at home that think you know who should be starting for the Raptors. And you should need to let the coach do his damn job, is what I'm saying. I think that he has the right starting lineup still. And y'all can argue till you're blue in the face and say these stats and this stats and this, and you think that this will help Gary and this. Fuck all that shit. It's not gonna work. I gotta tell y'all that. Y'all think it will. Now, if he changes it and some sort of success comes from it, all right, I'll admit I was wrong. But for right now, this is not a good idea. And I'll continue to say this. You don't put a guy in the starting lineup to break him out of a slump. You reward somebody who's kicking ass off the bench because they're playing at a high level to start. Because if you put him in and he's slumping, well, you're just going to get like 40 minutes of slumping. You think he's going to break out because he's going to start a lineup? No. There's physical problems with Gary right now, and his confidence is hurt too right now. You think it'll help him because he put him in the starting lineup? Oh, he believes in me. I'm going to shoot better all of a sudden? No, it's a physical problem that he has right now, obviously, because his lift is on and off. Sometimes he has lift. Sometimes he can shoot properly, and a lot of times he's short, and he's just not getting good lift off his foot. And I think it is still the plantar fasciitis. So, yeah, I'm really worried about Gary. He does need to continue to shoot, but he needs to get it going off the bench in the limited minutes that he's getting off the bench. And then maybe we can look at the idea of him starting if he gets going a little bit better. In some ways, I'd rather start Malachi over Gary Trent Jr. at this point if y'all really want to shake up the starting lineup. Firebolt saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. Tough loss last night. Time to bounce back and be ready for Atlanta tomorrow. Yeah, this is interesting. In some ways, I don't have any expectations at this point. That's part of the problem, is that too many Raptors fans have too many expectations of excellence and all this kind of stuff. Y'all need to just give it up right now and just let the team sort through the issues and problems that they have right now, because being hyper focused on their failures and really come down on them is not helping anybody. In some ways, it's just like an individual who's working on a project. They have a couple setbacks. Well, usually they don't have people breathing over their shoulders, watching their every move, making it hard for them. Like if you're trying to do something and somebody's looking over your shoulder and just really breathing down your neck, it makes it more difficult and stressful. So let these guys just do what they're going to do, and we'll just kick back, eat the popcorn while we're watching, and just watch basketball. Fuck it, man. Can't you just watch basketball? Why do y'all have to act like you're employees of the Raptors and you're trying to help them? You're not helping them, is what I'm telling y'all. Just let them play and be who they are. In some ways, that is all anybody wants in this world. It's just to be accepted for who they are. And right now, you need to accept that the Raptors are not a good basketball team and that we have to sort through things and get better. And once again, y'all saying, oh, they need to do something right now. Well, there's a deadline that has to pass before we can actually make a trade. So sit tight and be patient. Stuff's going to happen. I believe it will. This team is not operating correctly, and there will be changes. Just trust me, there will be changes. Usually I don't advocate for mass sale changes or any kind of changes, but I will advocate for it at this point because we do need them. We definitely do need them. Let's see. Yeah, Atlanta. This will be interesting because Atlanta's been in a little bit of trouble, Firebolt, and we're gonna have to see if we can kind of like mess them up. With 2 games at home, this will be nice. And last year I went to Atlanta game on Halloween, and we routed the hell out of them. So I would love to see us handle Atlanta 2 games in a row, 2 wins in a row over the next couple of games, but no expectations. Let them work through what they're working through and trying to figure out and get it right. And in some ways, if they fail again on Wednesday night, I'm not going to be all pissed off like some people are getting more and more pissed off about this. You just need to learn how to accept the things that you cannot control, Raptors fans. And that's the thing. That's the whole secret of life. And just being like, smart and wise. It's the dumb people in this world that get all bent out of shape about things that they have no control over. Seriously. Y'all are making your lives all miserable and messed up and crazy because over something you can't control. You're going to live and die with the shots of Gary Trent Jr. Man, that's sad and pathetic. And you really shouldn't tie your life up that way, is what I would tell people. Learn how to separate it. Seriously, everybody, this is a good time for us to practice separating your fandom from living your life and the way you are. I used to describe this that I was like the Raptors uh, with the Raptors, like ET with that flower and that movie. I used to say this on this channel. I've even stopped doing this. Like, I'm not even miserable right now. I'm not depressed. I'm not unhappy. I'm not mad. I'm happy. I'm happy. I have a good life. Things are going good in my life. But the Raptors are losing. I'm not going to let that overshadow my life and tell me, oh, you should be depressed and sad and awful and stuff like that. No, you got to keep things separated and you got to have your own life and just be like, you know what? I'm a happy person regardless of whether Raptors win or lose. Because it's true. Back in the day, I would get so depressed when they were losing. And I'm sure some of y'all are in that place right now. But I tell you, there's another way to do this without having to go through all those negative emotions. You just have to find that separation somehow, in some way. It doesn't mean you're abandoning them. It doesn't mean that you're ignoring them or you don't want to have to watch them anymore. It means you watch them, but you watch them with the ability to separate yourself from the outcome. It's like, okay, they lost again. Don't throw something. Don't get all mad. Don't get really drunk after the game, stuff like that. Do things like, you know what? I'm going to go do something else, my favorite hobby afterwards, or I'm going to go to bed and get some sleep and just like move past it. I think that's part of the problem. A lot of Raptors people just have a hard time moving past things or really, oh my gosh, overreacting to certain things way too heavy, way too heavy. All right, let's see. Kareem saying, I didn't bathe either. I know. I didn't either, guys. I'm going to be honest. I didn't either, guys. I did not bathe either. So we're all in the same boat here. It's not because I wasn't depressed. I just didn't have any time yet. But I'll bathe probably at some point today. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I won't bathe either. All right. Where's that comment? That's so funny that he said that. Oh, man. It's near the top. I'll make sure I find it. Let's see. I didn't bathe either, but I do take showers. Nobody's judging you. That's right. We're not going to judge you guys on this. We can't smell you guys. So go ahead. This is part of the safety of doing a live stream interaction with me is nobody's smelling each other. Unless y'all are at the library on the two computers next to each other watching me at the same time. Then maybe you're smelling each other then. Yeah. Trevor's saying if Gary made a few shots, we won this game. All we're asking Gary is hit some shots. You're looking bad right now. Yes. And yes. Yes, any of these guys, I'm telling you, this is the thing that worries me about this team is that they have to figure out how to win again, and it's not just how to win, and they have to have the will to win, and they have to have the know-how to win. And in some ways, we're not showing that we've got either one of those, the gumption or the will or the know-how, and that's scary because people like Siakam and Anunoby should have this kind of shit. But in some ways, the Fred factor is missing in that part of the equation, and it's very noticeable, especially in this four-game losing streak right now. This four-game losing streak, Fred is missed immensely right now. And all you Fred haters, eat it because he would have helped us in this four-game stretch. And I'm telling you, at least one of these four games would have been a win if we had Fred VanVleet at this point. And this isn't a detriment to putting down Dennis Schroeder or anything. I'm just saying that in some ways, Fred was partly this guy that helped carry us in fourth quarters and knew how to be a captain and lead us in the right way to get victories in close games like this. And that a lot of people didn't realize that when we had him, that was one of his jobs. And he was quite good at it. In fact, he's doing it for Houston now. So, yeah, all you people that hated Fred so much, these losses we're feeling right now are partly because of his absence, just so you know. Just so you know. G's laughing at Kareem. Trevor's saying we're still better than 4 other teams in our conference. I like that. Trevor. And I'm giving you a dunk because I agree. There's things about our team that are better. Like we have it on paper better. This is one of those cases where the Raptors are better on paper, but they're not performing correctly. So they're not better in reality. It's really kind of like that. In some ways, we have some of the best talent in the league, but we're not better in reality. And something's not adding up. And that's why Bobby Webster's going to have to make a move. Fiercely saying, good morning, family, and happy Tuesday. I'm actually not frustrated with the L. We put in the effort yesterday. If we play like that for the remainder of the year, we can only get better. I feel like there was a lot of positive things in that game also. Yes, I do. I really do see a lot of good stuff that happened in the game. It just didn't add up. Once again, they had really good offensive players that showed up. Jalen Brunson was very smart once again. Julius Randle was overpowering and very fired up. You see Julius Randle in his passion. You see what he did in that dunk when he got the technical, when he hit his hand on the backboard. That's the kind of shit I want from one of our top guys, is being that fired up and that kind of crazy about things. If we could get that kind of spirit from one of our guys, Scotty could probably do it. That'd be awesome. Without the technical, of course, but just, you know what I'm talking about, that energy, that competitiveness, that kind of like, I'm going to come and throw it down on you kind of shit like that. Yeah. Precious at times shows that kind of stuff too, at times also. Let's see. Jillian's here. Good to see Jillian once again. Fred didn't want to leave. I know he didn't, but he got paid a lot and he had to. He definitely had to. It's just what it is. It's water on the bridge. But I do want to make this clear to people. If you're wondering why we're not winning these games like we would last year, that's the reason right there. MSJ saying, I think this transition year into Scotty era is going to end in losses. And I could also see Fred going 6-20 last night too, Lex. Well, I'm just saying it's not even about how much Fred shoots or what he does. It's just that when the game is on the line, it's the last 5 minutes. That man knows what to do to close the game out to win. And that's what I'm trying to say here. He could shoot like really shitty the whole game. We know this, but he shows up at the last 5 minutes and he does really awesome things that make us win, is what I'm saying. And Kyle was like that in the past too. So that's the thing. We don't have anybody stepping up in that kind of way for our team at the end of the game. Dennis does a little bit, it tries to a little bit. He's aggressive at the end of the game because he actually gets in there, gets a layup, and he's trying to hit threes, and he does. And he has mixed success, but it's not like the same way as like Fred in some ways. It's not the same exactly like Fred. In some ways, Dennis is going to get in trouble if he tries to take too many shots at the end of the game, because people will be critical of him and say, why is he shooting at the end of the game? Well, it's because they're overplaying defense on Pascal and Scotty, and he's the one who's open. And in some ways, he's a good clutch shooter from FIBA in different places. But y'all have got it kind of like where he can't really be that guy because you are telling him he's not allowed to be. It's kind of stupid, honestly. Like, Raptors fans, do you really understand how you want to limit them and tell them what they can and cannot do? That's kind of messed up, honestly. I think this is going to be a transition year. And in some ways, this year is going to be ugly. And who knows? At some point, maybe it'll click and everything will start coming into wins more often. But right now, I think it's going to be maybe a little bit like this for a while. We're 5 games under 500, which is very similar to where we were last year. We were 6 games under 500. So this is kind of the same issues. But some would say it's worse because last year we were hurt. And this year we're kind of healthy right now. Yikes. Fiercely saying, I knew it. Whenever they say questionable, they always end up playing. Hence, Brunson seemed to be in perfect shape yesterday. Yeah, he probably has a nagging injury. It's probably a real thing, but it was a switch. It was Brunson played, but Quickly was out. And Robinson. Robinson, of course, had surgery, and he's going to be out for a while. So this could hurt the Knicks over the next couple months, not having their starting center. He is a really good player for them to have out there. Really is. Let's see. MSJ saying, but Scotty will be forged in the fire. That's right. In some ways, these are the tough learning lessons, and he is learning. And in some ways, they are seeing progress within if we're not seeing it as fans. And then in some ways, that's encouraging. Once again, they're all saying we got to stay together, meaning we got to not turn on each other or get mad or play the blame game for the reasons why we're losing. We just got to keep going forward and listening to the coach and doing what they're saying. I watched real closely in the timeouts, and those guys are still very intently listening to Darko. He hasn't lost them. Some people were speculating, has he lost the team? No, they're very much listening to him, and they're trying to do what he's saying. And that's part of the problem. Is some of it is that they're failing at executing the things that he wants them to do. And whether it's defensive assignments, transition defense, whether it's, box outs, whether it's all that kind of stuff. In some ways, they're failing little mini assignments throughout the game. And that's frustrating to Darko. It's not necessarily that he wants them to do that. It's just that they're not totally doing what he wants them to do. They're not fulfilling what they're supposed to do in some ways. Let's see. Fun guy saying, great you bring up Fred and Kyle, Lex. You know what they share in common? They're dynamic guards that ran our team very limited. We're very limited on those. Sometimes it can be that simple. Laugh out loud. One extra center, two. Yeah, I'd like to see Jonte come up and see if he can play center since Coloco's hurt. That'd be cool. Yeah, this is seriously. I mean, it occurred to me, it's like, man, Fred would have helped last night. Yeah, he would have helped in that game last night for sure. Let's see. Carlos saying, "Good morning, Rat Freak family. Good morning to you, Carlo." And Fun Guy saying, "What the fuck, G? You didn't bathe?" This is kind of funny. G saying, "I won't live this down, Fun Guy. It's all right. Don't worry about it, G." Listen, man, nobody's gonna judge on this. In some ways, I think people bathe too much. In some ways, the French might have it right. Bathe once a week. So yeah, no big deal. Save, conserve water, and let the natural microbes and animals and things, microscopic things that live on your body, just have their life. In some ways, I don't know. You may smell, then people at work may be upset, but whatever. Let's see. Kareem saying, Precious is slowly coming around. Looks completely out of tune at times, but you can see his progression is on the rise. Yeah, I'll look at Precious stats real quick, just for a second. I like what Precious did last night. I thought he was pretty good. 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, a -1 with 9 points. I wish he'd scored more, but we did see very aggressive stuff from Precious at different times. Some of the stuff with him and Malachi looked ugly as far as him trying to get the ball to him. But overall, Precious is awesome. He's a force. He's strong. He's down there battling, and he's trying to make good things happen. And yeah, I'm excited about his progress and the different things that are happening. He's got a real high ceiling, and we got to continue to discover it. I don't think he's somebody that we should move. Is just what I'm saying. Carlos saying, not feeling bad about that loss, seeing fundamental improvements. Knicks was just red hot yesterday. Listen, it's great. The referees were actually on our side, which sucks. They were pretty good, but later they got a little screwy. Those challenge calls were interesting. And the fact that they called so many stoppages, and they weren't even challenges, some of them, they just checking for flagrants, checking for this, checking for that. That was a lot of stoppage of play at the end. Jack Armstrong complaining, of course, and I agree with him that, Bill Kennedy, you were stopping the game a lot. Now you expedited those stops better than like Tony Brothers would. Tony Brothers probably take an extra 5 or 10 minutes with all those challenges and stops. And we even saw idiot Tom Thibodeau stretching out the end of the game by useless, frivolous challenge calls and just bullshit. In some ways, once again, the referees, when they stop play and so long and so many times in the middle of the fourth quarter last night, there were like 3 or 4 periods where they stopped the game. It really hurts flow. It really hurts kind of these guys staying up and energetic to finish the game. And it's manipulative. Let's just put it that way. I feel like it's very, very manipulative. At this point, NBA players can't really get a lather up and running up and down the court. It's more about stop and start. It's like Red Rover or red light, green light as a little kid. It's like red light, green light, and then you can run. Red light. Do you remember that game when you're a little kid? Somebody would yell red light, green light, and you're trying to run towards them. Well, that's kind of what the refs are doing. They'll let you run, but that's the thing. You have to be able to stop your body and hang out for 5 minutes while they watch cartoons and then start as soon and go into it like with that hard energy on defense and running up and down on offense. Stop again. Another 5 minutes of watching cartoons and looking for a flagrant foul. Okay, and then you have to get going again. That's herky jerky. And in the history of the NBA, there was never, ever this kind of stoppage of messing up the flow and the athleticism of the teams so much as right now. In some ways, that's the problem with the reviews. In some ways, the reviews are not changing things or working or doing things enough in a way that it's worthwhile to stop things so much and often. It's not like these refs are completely changing their calls. It's not like if they did get it wrong, they're switching it. Often these things are just the same with some other bullshit reason for why they did this. It's kind of like the whole system sucks and is stupid. And I've heard Nick Nurse be critical of it and saying he thinks that it should just go away. And obviously Jack Armstrong hates the stoppages of play and how long they are. That did hurt things in the fourth quarter for trying to garner energy to come back and try and win this game last night because there was a lot of stoppage of play. Now, I like Bill Kennedy and Mitchell Irvin. Those guys were awesome last night. In a lot of ways, they really did give us a fair whistle. In fact, in the first half, I felt like they were favoring us. and they were actually really, I was like, man, this is what it feels like to have fair refs, is what I was saying to myself in the first half. Because I did really feel like they were very fair. They were giving respect to Jakob and putting him on the line. They were giving respect to different guys. So yeah, the refs weren't really a huge problem, other than them stopping the flow of the game so much at the end of the game. At the end of the game, that was a problem. But it's interesting how Bill Kennedy did not give flagrants or any kind of extra on those fouls in the challenge calls. They were just what they were. They're saying, because they could have called a flagrant on Siakam for kicking his leg out in that transition. And then honestly, that was a take foul, even though it was right underneath the basket when Jalen Brunson put his arms around OG and didn't even really grab the ball. He just grabbed his arms. As Adriana said, we were watching the game, why did he grab his hips? And I was like, yeah, he didn't go for the ball. That should be a take foul, because that was a fast break opportunity, and OG was about to dunk it. And but Bill Kennedy decided to just toe the line and say, this is just a foul. It's not a take foul. So, and because it wasn't deemed a shot, it was side out. So in some ways that was kind of fucked up. In a way, that play should have been free throws and the ball for us if it had been under the take foul rules correctly. But then the other way, with Siakam kicking his leg out and Josh Hart, and that could have actually been a take foul also. And not only that, Siakam could have possibly gotten thrown out of the game for what he did, because in some ways that looked aggressive, like he was trying to hurt a player. And so Bill Kennedy just said a mulligan on both. You're not getting a take foul over that, and you're not getting any kind of extra foul on that. It's just a common foul on Siakam too. So I'll take it. In some ways, that's fair officiating. In some ways, not totally really either, because he could have gone extra. And other refs that ref in the NBA probably would have called extra on both those and done the calls all the way through. Take foul here, take foul there. But not Bill Kennedy. And in some ways, also, once again, they were letting them play, trying not to do stoppages of plays. There's a lot of no calls and stuff. It's fine, because in some ways, Jack's all about that. He's saying, look, you don't need to call a foul and stop the play on that. Just let them play through and just do that. And there is a lot of that going on with refs these days. And I like that, honestly, because I do think there's too many stoppages, and not everything needs to be called as a foul, because sometimes a foul doesn't even matter. So, yeah. All right. There's the little bit of ref manipulation report for last night and what I was saying there. Let's see. All right, Carlo is saying not feeling bad about the loss, seeing fundamental improvements. Knicks were just red hot yesterday. Yeah, I read that one already, and I agree. They shot very well, and in some ways, we are seeing improvements. So there's some small victories there. Just didn't win. Stargate saying, "Good morning, Raptor Freak family. They played better last night, but couldn't close it out. I love this team. So don't get me wrong. Coming into the season, I was very high on Darko and his system, but now after 23 games." And a fun guy's laughing about the bathing stuff, I'm sure. Listen, this is way too early to assess Darko. And in some ways, we need to give him immunity for the whole entire year. It's going to be ups and downs, and there's no reason to quick judgment him. Seriously, this is not enough time to look at his resume and say whether he's a good coach or not, or if he's a good coach for us. I think he's a fantastic coach. In fact, I love how engaged he is. He is so engaged in everything, as far as in the game, yelling at guys, telling guys to be here. He is a really good coach, and I'm going to fight for him every step of the way. And anybody who's starting to say, oh, we may have gotten the wrong coach, you're wrong. You're so wrong. Trust me. This dude is good. And when we turn around things, you're going to see the merits of why he's so good. It's just right now, it's not going smooth, his year so far. And a lot of it's the player's fault. It's not the coach's fault. They're not told. It's not that they're not listening to him. It's just that they're not executing correctly or properly to the level that will allow us to win. And that's really just like every play, not having lapses mentally and losing guys on defense. That's a huge part of the problem is right now is that we're losing 3-point players on a transition, and they're bombing threes on us. And that is absolutely killing us. The field goal percentage of threes for the opponents recently is way too fucking high. And in some ways, it's player execution that's making Darko look bad right now. So in some ways, you got to give him a whole year before you really, really judge him. And, in some ways, you have to give allowances for the fact that the players are failing at doing what he wants them to do. Let's see. Fun guys laughing. MSJ saying, anyone who watched a loss or several and decides they aren't watching, are they really basketball fans? No. Win or lose, doesn't matter to me. OG is right. The fun part this year is the development. That's right. Well, this is the thing. Some people watch sports to make themselves feel good. Some people are so miserable in their own fucking lives that they don't have nothing good in their lives that they have to rely on their sports team winning. So if their sports team is losing too, then they realize how miserable and shitty their lives are in general too. So it's almost like the sports team winning is their Prozac. And when the sports team isn't winning, well, then it really all comes crashing down. And that's the problem. We have miserable fucks that cheer for our team, and they're miserable just in their basic lives. And if the Raptors aren't winning, they don't get that cheap serotonin high from them winning. Well, then they get whiny and where's the nipple? And I need the milk, mommy. No, that's the problem right there. You should derive your own happiness from your own life. Take up gardening, take up a nice, cool hobby like jogging. And you can find happiness from that. And don't be so reliant on Malachi Flynn and Precious Achua and Scotty Barnes to give you happiness. How about that? How about that? Be more self-sufficient with your feelings and emotions. And don't just ride your emotions with what the fucking team is. Because you're crazy and a psychopath when you do that, is what I'll say. That's what I'm saying right now. Listen, and if they can't hang with the bang, they don't want to watch the team lose over and over again right now, well, that's fine. You don't have to. Nobody's got a gun to your head. You go ahead and watch some other stuff like Discovery ID stuff, like Women That Kill, or go binge watch some Netflix series or something. I don't know. Once again, nobody's forcing you, and you don't need to announce it to us that you're giving up on the team. You need to go away. No, nobody cares. You go do your life. We're watching the game ourselves. You can do whatever the fuck you want with your lives. That's what I tell them. Let's see. Fiercely saying, Lex, I know you like Precious, but him always fixing his headband annoys the hell out of me. Good thing when I wrote it in the chat yesterday, he hit a 3 right after. Laugh out loud, but it annoys me. Sometimes he loses it completely, and he has played stretches with it. Listen, guys like me, we can get really, really kind of self-conscious about hair. And obviously, Precious has got a prominent forehead. And in some ways, maybe he's been picked on or has a little self-conscious about it. And in some ways, him and Gary, they like to wear those headbands like that for certain reasons. I mean, I'm not upset about that, but if it's distracting him away from making the right play on the court because he's adjusting it, yeah, that could be a problem. But I don't see that being an issue, really. I haven't seen him really taken out of plays because of that. If you saw something I didn't see, then I'll change. But I didn't see anything where it was an issue. His headband or trying to adjust it where it's affecting whether he makes something happen. So it's everybody's got weird things about themselves. Some people have to wear goggles, maybe they get knocked off or something. You have different bands and things you got to wear and adjust. Let's see. Nako's saying, personally, I'm more negative than positive, but these players are capable of making winning plays. Gerald, and this is because I know Gerald personally for almost 10 years now. Like in real life, I've known Gerald before I did this channel. I'm just going to be really honest here. Joe, I hear you be negative about the team, and it's probably hilarious to me. Like if you came over to Kensington, like when I used to live over there, when we do writing meetings, when we used to write comedy together, and you would talk, if you sat there and told me, it's like, hey, Lex, I really like the Raptors, but man, do they suck right now. And you were talking to me about it. In some ways, I find comedy in hearing your voice lament the sadness of the Raptors right now. It's not that I'm happy the Raptors aren't doing well. Of course, that's not true. But in some ways, your delivery is part of what makes you a great stand-up. It would be kind of entertaining to me to hear you talk about why you're depressed about the Raptors. Not that I want you to be depressed either or them lose. But in some ways, that's what when you said that, I could hear your voice and what you would be saying to me if we were sitting on the couches at 3K in an old comedy writing meeting. I can hear you. I can hear you what you're saying. It's going to get better, Gerald. Just trust me, man. I know in some ways Gerald is a more recent basketball fan, but he's a very diehard and he really does love his team. But in some ways, Gerald, you got to understand what it was like around 2007. You got to understand what it was like around 1997. Yeah, it was dark. And in some ways, it's going to get dark a little bit right now. But let's see how dark and for how long. Because there's a lot of promise to get out of it quicker in the name Scotty Barnes. So we'll see. We'll see. I know it's easy to be really negative about the team right now, but it doesn't help anything. It really doesn't. And the media and fake fans are going to do that. Enough of that for all of us anyway. Let's see. Stargate saying on a positive note, Malachi seems to be coming along, albeit very slowly, but still progress. Yeah, his confidence is unmatched. Like after the game, he's really interesting the way he talks and stuff. He's not hearing me coming down on him. No, he's not. And I like his unflappable confidence. In the game against Miami the other day, this was really interesting what happened. This is a while back because we played Miami a little bit ago. Uh, Kyle came up to him before the game, Kyle Lowry, and he pointed to the little bald spot on his head and made fun of him in the middle of the game. It was kind of funny. Like, I think it was after the game or before the game. But there was a clip of Kyle like messing with Malachi because, of course, they know each other. They play with each other. And he's like pointing, he's like, "What's with this?" And he pointed to the top of his head. And I think on the in the game last night, it looked like his hair was a little more filled in somehow, some way. I when I worked at the convenience store, Kensington Variety, there was a tattoo shop or a barber next door. Yeah, I forget the guy's name, and he came in one day and he told me, he's like, you don't have to be losing your hair, Lex. I could tattoo your hair in for you. And I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, it's pretty expensive process, but you could have hair for the rest of your life. I'll tattoo it on your head. And I'm like, I don't even want a tattoo, and I don't really give a shit if I have hair or not. I mean, it's whatever. I like having my head shaved, but yeah, that was a weird one. So maybe Malachi got some hair tattooed on the middle of his head. I should be respecting him more. But this is something on the Raptors channel I noticed that Kyle Lowry was making fun of Malachi's bald spot, and I think Malachi fixed it. If you look at the game last night, his hair was a lot more filled in. So maybe Kyle pointed something out to him. He may not even been aware that his hair was like that completely. That can happen to people. Let's see. Fun guy saying, no, Lex, Scotty's box minus is bad because he plays with the second unit a lot. Like, come on, bro. Everyone should know this by now. Darko's experimenting with him with the bench guys in second quarter more and more. Come on, man. Well, I did say that. I know that's part of the reason, but also it has to do with the starters too. Like the starters have not played well when he's out there too at times too. Like with the beginning of the third and the first quarters, Scotty's out there with the starters at the same time. It's a cumulative thing. Whoever's going to have the worst plus minus is the person who's out there when we're losing the most. And that's just, I mean, it's not a totally scientific stat, and it's not totally correlated to that one individual, but it does signify who's on the court the most with the point differential going the wrong way. So I know you're exactly right. It is because he's playing him with bench units, but it's still something that needs to be pointed out because it's not just that it's him playing with bench units, it's him playing sloppy and unfundamental at times also. He played really good last night, though. I'm not going to diss him for that, but there have been games in this losing streak where Scotty has not played fundamentally well. And that's part of the reason why his minutes and his plus minus is bad. But overall, like last night, I thought he was fantastic and he played a pretty solid game all around. I didn't see a lot of mistakes, and I really liked the sharing the ball that he was doing with everybody last night. He was doing really good stuff in a lot of different places, and I like the places he was finding shots. Now, once again, he did have a moment last night where he passed up a shot in the lane that he should have took. He made an extra pass trying to get it a Pirtle underneath the basket. But Scott, you had it right there in the center of the lane. And you had the ball. You should have put it up and in there. And that's one of the things that I don't like. In the last 2 minutes of the game, Scotty, you need to take it home and not rely on your teammates. I know that you are so unselfish. You like to pass everybody, but I want you to be selfish when it's crunch time because in some ways you're the more money basket out of any of our guys, especially the way you're shooting threes right now. So please take it upon yourself and not be so unselfish in the last part of the game. Take that big shot in the middle of the lane when you got it. That was a play that you should have shot. And everybody knows the one I'm talking about. He tried to force the ball through to Pirtle, and it turned into a turnover, whereas he should have brought it up himself and just went a really strong move up over them right from like 5-10 feet from the basket. So let's see. Let's keep going here. Kareem saying Malachi Jeffrey Jordan will go in full pro-am mode next game. Atlanta. In some ways, we match up well with them. Let's see. I'm not gonna say we have any guaranteed wins at this point. Everything's gonna be difficult, and when we win, I'll be very happy. But I'm not getting ahead of myself and saying, yeah, we should beat Atlanta both games here in Toronto. I wish I could say that. If we had gotten off to a better start and we're winning more, I would probably say, yeah, we need to win both these games against Atlanta. But in some ways right now, I want to split at least. If we can get both, that's fantastic. And we damn for sure don't want to lose both of them. That would be very bad. Let's see. Fiercely saying, yes, we missed the treasure map. That's right. If we're the Goonies, he's Sean Astin, and or Mackenzie Astin, or whichever of Astin that is, and fucking Goonies. He's the kid with the treasure map, and that was Fred. We still got the short round. That's not short round in that movie. He's short round in Indiana Jones. Chunk and the one the whatchamacallit, the kid with the glasses from Stand By Me. Wait, I'm getting all these movies confused, aren't I? I'm getting Indiana Jones, Stand By Me, and Goonies all mixed up because all the kids are all in the same movies. Corey Feldman, damn it. All right, let's see. G said Scotty's plus minus wasn't good because Randall was having his way too. The plus minus for me is a bit misleading. Usually, the player guarding the best player will have the worst plus minus, except for OG. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to gauge this fairly by plus minus, but I do think it's a strong indicator. It's a good, strong statistical indicator, if not a totally scientific one, but it is a truth of the game. It's a truth of the game that this person's minutes, this is the point differential while they were on the court. Now, it's not totally up to them. I get it. But it's a red flag to me once again when out like 7 out of the last 8 games, there's one individual who has the worst plus minus out of everybody on the team, and the losses we're having. And in some ways, that's why I say we're gonna go with Scott, whether we're gonna win or lose, and that's him cleaning up his game and playing very close to perfect and very very sound fundamentally and smart and not making a whole lot of mistakes. That will make us win. That will make us win. So in some ways, we go with Scott. And if Scott can play, he can play a really good stat line, but on the download, there's some stuff that's just not right. And, I get it. I'm not trying to blame Scott for last night for sure. Scott played really good last night in a lot of ways. And it was really just that nobody stepped up and took over and did things like Randall did for the Knicks. So let's see. Cool Cat saying good morning. Good morning to you, Cool Cat. Infamous saying salute, freaks. The ref manipulation was strong in this game. I started predicting when the Raps would get fouled and was spot on. I thought that Bill Kennedy and them were very nice to us for most of the game, and they weren't really too overly wrong to us. In fact, they screwed over the Knicks quite a few times in the game last night also. So I don't know. I don't think that ref manipulation was actually a huge problem other than the stoppage of play and how much they were really having dead balls and getting cold in the fourth quarter. That makes it hard if you're the team behind to garner energy and come back when there's so many dead periods of everybody's just standing around waiting for the refs to decide shit. And I think that may have been the biggest problem with ref manipulation was stoppage of play in the fourth quarter. Let's see. Kareem saying it's crazy that Pascal and Scotty can drop 20 and still feel like they made no impact. Something's not adding up. Well, in some ways, they need to do better. You know what? If Randall got 30, well, they need to get closer to 30. That's why, in some ways, I don't give rewards to Scotty or Pascal, like giving a star when they only get 20, because I expect them to get more. 20 is like, okay, that's good as a filler. And OG was the man. He got 29. And then the other thing that they really beat us on was bench scoring. That our bench actually did score pretty good. We got a lot of points from different people, but not on the level that they did. This time it wasn't DiVincenzo, it was Grimes. Grimes shooting the lights out from 3 and finding his shot and open shots and nailing them like pinpoint. I wish we had somebody on this team that was like that. I wish Gary Trent was like Quentin Grimes last night. In fact, in some ways, what Gary Trent Jr. is supposed to be doing for us is what Quentin Grimes did for the Knicks last night. But yeah, Grimes and Hart off the bench, big time scoring. They outscored us by 19 off the bench. Yeah, and that is how much Quentin Grimes scored. So him specifically, he was like the DiVincenzo this time. At least we didn't let Dante do it to us twice. At least we didn't let Dante do it to us twice. Let's see. Monique saying, good morning, Rat Freak family. I said the threes would fall eventually. Way to go, OG. Yeah, but not on the same rate as their threes were falling, and that's an issue. We can't get into a shootout in OK Corral because we don't have the firepower. And we don't have enough gunslingers that know how to shoot straight. And that's part of the problem. Troy Henry saying, who to blame on that loss? Damn coach. The bench was cooking, and the guy took them out and put in the starters, and it was downhill from there. Yeah, you've gotten this feeling from 2 games now that the bench is doing pretty good in the fourth quarter, and doing good things. And then we put the starters back in and it kind of all falls apart. Then we don't execute and win at the end. I still don't have any confidence that the bench would have done any better. And in some ways, it's much more dangerous for Darko to not bring Pascal and those guys back at the end of the game and ride with Malachi and Precious and Chris. I mean, that's really dangerous, Troy Henry. As much as it seems like they would just vibe right into it, but you also got to realize their shifts are ending where they're going to get tired. And this is the whole reason why we put them in, is to give rest for those starters. Now, maybe the starters need to come out there and have more and execute play better, and that would make things easier. But yeah, there's an issue there. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I just wish these guys would be more coming correct at all times, all 48 minutes of the game. It's just weird. I mean, it's a really tough position to be in. Now, in some ways, he did take Jakob out near the end of the game, and he started playing Precious to close out the game, which was smart. And that was kind of a little concede, like, all right, we need Precious out here just for energy and a more mobile big. And also, he's not as a problem if he gets fouled and goes to the free throw line. He's not. There's no hack a yak with Precious out there. You know, if Dennis is not shooting well, he did shoot well last night, and Gary was definitely not shooting well. So definitely Dennis should have been playing over Gary at the end of the game. And Malachi, I mean, you could maybe make a case that he maybe should have been playing at the end of the game. But it's really like the starters are our most talented guys and they are the most sound professionals. And I don't fault him for doing that. I don't, because that's really what the game plan is. You got to play your starters at the end because you have the best chance to win. It's just that our starters just don't know how to win completely right now. In some ways, Fred really did push Pascal and OG in these situations to step up big. And nobody's actually doing that right now. I don't know if it's that Dennis just doesn't have the voice and like because he hasn't been here long enough. Well, I don't know what it is. In some ways, Scotty needs to step up and grow and mature into that leader to be kind of more directing traffic and kind of, you know, he in some ways doesn't understand how to win games yet. It's like Scotty has to understand how to win games completely and what all the ingredients that takes. And in some ways, he's still learning that. And that's why we're not winning right now. Let's see. Carlos saying, question to y'all. Are we somehow moving away from that defensive identity? There were some easy layups from the Knicks yesterday. It was infuriating. Well, the thing is, last year, Knicks defense was way better for sure. And it was because it was so aggressive. It was such a system. And he really did hold these guys accountable if they did not run the system correctly. They heard about it and they got graded for it the next day. Now, right now, what's happening is a lot of the Raptors are having mental lapses on defense. They're not doing things exactly right, and it's having huge fails. And that's why these layups and wide open threes are happening. So they got to tighten up their defense and get more smart and play it more correctly altogether in communication, because that is a big, huge problem. And once again, the indicator that they score over 30 points every fucking quarter last night is no good. We got to keep teams under 30 points per quarter if we want to have a real serious, better chance of winning. And getting in big time scoring shootouts with most NBA teams for the Raptors is not a good idea. We just don't shoot threes well enough. So we really do want to play a grinded out, low scoring game. And when the tempo is too high, like it was last night, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. It's going to be very hard for us to keep up with them the whole entire game. So let's see. Seymour saying tough game. Keep the heads high. Keep playing hard. 100%. That's right. They are playing 100% hard. We can't get mad at them for effort. There was a lot of good effort out on the court. There was a lot of good team play. There was a lot of good connecting. It wasn't selfish basketball. That's for sure. There's a lot of good things happening. It just didn't add up to winning. Fun guy saying plus minus means when you're out there is your unit is building points or losing points. Yes. If a starter is with that bench, that usually loses points. The starter plus minus will be negative, no other factor. Well, I know we can argue this chicken or the egg either way. I mean, well, how about this? Scotty's the most important person with that bench unit. And if he really wants to differentiate himself and be successful, he needs to make that bench unit successful as far as outscoring the other team. We can't blame the other guys because he's out there on a weaker team. We just got to say these are the guys that are out there at this time or this time, and that's why this is this. But you're exactly right. Plus minus means when you're out there, your unit is building points or losing points. It is a team stat, but the individual is the minutes of while they're out there. And it's not that I can pinpoint, oh, this is the reason why he's minus 10. It could actually be mistake or turnovers by Malachi or Precious. You're right. But it still is a metric that captures that person's minutes while they're out on the court. And I don't know. I don't put a whole lot of weight in it. I'll put more weight in the stats like points, rebounds, assists, and turnovers. It's a secondary analytic, but it is useful for understanding the parts of the game where the team is losing and not winning. And it is useful that. Nako's saying calculating plus minus is a little weird. Dennis does get more criticism than he deserves. Yeah. Well, they're criticizing everybody right now. People that are just miserable will criticize other people instead of criticizing themselves every fucking time. And that's really what it is. They need an outlet and somebody to kick around because they're mad that they didn't win, and it reflects on them and it makes them more depressed. And they're so I hate Dennis because we lost. It's all that kind of stuff. Calculating plus minus is very exact science. It's the same thing as in hockey. There's a plus minus in hockey too, and it's the same stat. It's the same exact stat. And of course, there's less scoring in hockey, so your plus minus is not the same in some ways, but it is the exact same way they calculate it. Let's see. Fun guy saying, I feel like some people may not understand how box plus minus works. Unfortunately, yeah, you got to utilize it correctly. In some ways, you guys are exactly right. It is not a good standard for an individual in some ways, but it can kind of give you kind of a feeling about the minutes that they played, whether it is their fault or not. It's just that that's while they were out there, they were in the environment. And that's what the net scoring loss or plus was while they were out there. So we were minus 10 overall in Scotty's minutes. We were outscored by the Knicks by 10 points in the minutes that Scotty was on the court. Now, we could say this, that while Pascal was on the court, we outscored them by 6 points. That's basically the stat right there. It's real easy. But some people will overuse it and really read into it too much. I'm trying to do it balanced here. Like I'm saying this is an indicator, but we don't need to really get on Scott for it because he's not directly in trouble for it, but it's a trend. And if you're an analyst and stats and stuff, you'll look at a trend over time. And in like a lot of our losses recently, Scotty has the worst plus minus. That's just the damn truth. You can go look at them. You'll see it. Last night's wasn't as bad. Minus 10 is much better than minus 25 or a minus 22. So let's see. Infamous is saying we are in desperate need of an athletic backup center, especially one that can catch lobs. Well, let's see if Jonte can do this. I'd love to see Jonte show up for one of these Hawks games. It's really interesting how Darko is not using the two ways at all this time of the year. It's really weird. We know from last year, activating the two ways with Jeff Doughton Jr., you only get a certain amount of games that you can have a two-way available for the games. Well, he's saving them because he's barely used any two ways this season. Like Marquise and Javon Freeman Liberty have been hurt a lot. So they only get a certain amount of two-way games. Well, they have a lot that they have not used at all. So we could very much see more JFL and more Marquise Noel and Jonte Porter later in the season because they have two-way eligible games that they haven't even started using. I think each of them have maybe one game so far. Jonte doesn't have a single damn game. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think that Jonte could be this backup center that you're trying to describe right here, infamous. The one time we saw him play for 905 on Sunday, he looked very mobile. He looked like he can catch stuff from up high. So I like the things that we're seeing from him. And he can shoot the three, too. That's the amazing thing. G saying it's by the way, there is a 905 game today. They're playing tonight here in Mississauga against the Delaware Bluecoats, the affiliate for the Philadelphia 76ers. And let's do a ref report real quick. 7:30 is a tip time, guys. So we do have Raptors basketball to watch tonight. It's Raptors 905. Angel Kent is the crew chief, number 43. The referee is Ashley Gloss, number 67. And the umpire is Canadian Marie-Pierre Malo, number 70. So a female ref crew tonight for the 905 against the Delaware Bluecoats, 7:30 tip. And we should expect Grady. We should expect Jonte Porter. We should expect Marquise Noel. So, yeah, you want to watch some more of those guys. They're on tonight. You can watch them. You can watch them. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying here. G saying it's weird to calculate. It's the unit but the individual player too. It's tougher for guards at a point of attack. If the lineup is getting scored on, yes, will affect the eventual plus minus two. Yeah. In some ways, why it's important is it's indicative of breakdowns. It's indicative of mental lapses and those layups that we were just complaining about. That sometimes those things are in those minuses, in the plus minuses, and that maybe we're having more mental breakdowns when certain players are on the court than other players. That's part of it right there. Stargate saying, I have to give credit to Tibbs. Seems like the two games against the Raptors, he is running a version of a point 0.5 offense, and his team runs it better than us. Coach Thibodeau's done a great job. Honestly, he's done a great job. New York is building something there. Instead of spinning their wheels, getting impatient, throwing everything out and starting over again, they're actually sticking their guns and they're actually getting somewhere finally as a franchise. So in some ways, yeah, that's very commendable and respectable. I hate it because they're an Atlantic Division opponent, but they're finally getting it up off the ground. They talked about this during the game last night, Jack and Matt, that the Atlantic Division has had a lot of teams rebuilding and in a lot of mess and a lot of problems. And this is part of the reason why the Raptors dominated the Atlantic Division for most of the 2010s. And yeah, it sucks because now they've all got their shit together. And in some ways, we're in a bad place. And we're in the bad place where those teams were at in the last 10 years. So it sucks. Things have flipped. And Philadelphia is really good. Boston's really good. And Brooklyn and New York are figuring their shit out. And the Raptors are in a bad place. So this sucks. We're used to being up near the top in the Atlantic Division. And we have been. We won many Atlantic Division titles. And in some ways, we're on the bottom again. And it sucks. I don't like this position. But it's symptomatic of those teams in our division getting better, and we have gotten worse, and that's part of it. So it sucks. It's just how it is. Cool Cat saying, I saw that our trio, Pascal, OG, and Scotty, were pissed off at the loss. I was looking at them when time ran out. Feel bad for them. Well, that's the thing. When are you going to get pissed off enough that you're going to make it different? Make it different. That's what I'm saying. You guys are that pissed off. Well, you guys have power. You guys can do something about it. And you're the ones who should do something about it. The three of y'all. So if you're pissed, you can do something about it. It's starting on Wednesday. Yeah, do something about it. That's what I'm saying. Infamous is saying we have gotten away from aggressive defense. Nurse's philosophy was they can't call everything. I find we were afraid to be aggressive due to fouling. Yeah. Yeah, in some ways, that's the genius of Nick's system was, and that is really a big part of our identity from the last couple of years. In some ways, we switched away from it, and it has been detrimental. In some ways, our defense is inconsistent the most it's ever been in recent years, and that sucks because honestly, that was one of the things we really relied on for winning in the last few years. And it's too bad. In some ways, I don't mind what's going on with this because it's all changing and transforming, but we don't have a winning formula right now. And one of the things for a winning formula is winning on defense and playing the way we used to. So I don't know if he can get it back or figure some of this stuff out. I don't want them overly doubling like they did with Nick, but I think there's a happy medium that can be found. And Darko said this after the game last night. He said our defense was much better at the beginning of the year and they were very aggressive and doing things right. And we kind of laid off. And that's part of the problem recently. And we need to get back to that aggressiveness on defense that you're describing, Infamous, now, because we had it at the beginning of the year, and these guys were playing much better defense in the first month of the season than they are right now. Monique saying positive Atlanta tomorrow. Raptors heard me last night when I said we got to hit first. Yeah, well, they know that's a good strategy that they need to go and do at the beginning of every game. And digging a hole of 10 points behind. Well, we were trying to play catch up with them at different times last night, and it sucks. We want to be the one on top and keeping a lead. Chris is saying just got to keep developing as a team. The Spurs and Pistons show this year that a tank for first round picks, Wemby and K do not mean winning these days. Yeah, I know that some people have said let's tank. Even in our Facebook chat last night, and I'm like, no. Just don't use that word. If we lose, we're going to lose we're not losing on purpose. We're just losing because we're losing. And that's just what it is. In some ways, we should strive to try and win no matter what. But if we just naturally lose, and then whatever happens with that pick, the first round pick we have in San Antonio Spurs will happen the way it's supposed to. Now, they may calculate it and figure it out and say, well, we're already losing. We might as well just continue to lose and we'll keep our pick or something. I don't know. I don't remember if it's either we lose or we don't lose, we keep our pick. I'm sure the Raptors are going to try and do whatever they can to keep that first round pick that the Spurs would get, depending on what situation. So I'm okay with what happens. The team just needs to go through a natural progression of whatever they need to do to get back to being better again. And it won't be easy or quick. It's going to be something that's going to take some time, and it may not be for the faint of heart. Let's see. Kareem saying the first 10 games we were top 5 in the defense. Yeah. Since then, it feels like we're bottom 5. Again, this team showed their hand on how good they can be. Just need to put it all together. And they inside do believe that they still can do this. It's just not exactly right. The formula is not right, and it's not winning. And they're closer than they are further away. Most people say these guys are not even close to getting near there. No, that's not actually true. They need to do a couple things, and some of it's the maturity of Scott maturing more, and some of it's a more aggressiveness from Siakam and Anunoby, and some of it is more trust and understanding of what Dennis is and what he's trying to do. There's a lot of different things. It's a more dedication to being a good team defense and working with each other and communicating. Those are a couple of them. Fiercely saying step by step we will be better. It seems we are slowly improving on free throws and the energy level. We now need to hit more shots, increase the defense, and believe in the Raps culture and mentality. I love that, Fiercely. You get a dunk for that. I'll give you a dunk for that. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's good, just basic bulletin points of things we need to do better and better, and we're going to be all right. Carlos saying the defense needs to come back. Yeah, 136 points is way too many fucking points for that team to play. It's a New York Knicks versus Raptors game. It should be like an 80 to something, 80 to 80 game, not a fucking 30 to 130 something. It needs to be like 90 to 90 or 100, at least just 100 to 100, not around 130 to 130. Yeah, no, we don't need to be getting in those shootouts. No, no, no. That's not our strength. We need to hold teams down, and we need to stop them. And when teams get rolling offensively, they get guys getting hot hands on the other end. That's not good for us. We don't want anybody on their team feeling good. We need the plumbing company in full effect and shut their water off. Shut that water main off. Cut it off, OG. That's what we need. That's what we need. Wayne saying that was a good loss filled with respect. Masai's job is being made easier with the non-production of notables who offer zero in areas we need to win. It's good replacements are being developed. If we're going to look at silver linings on dark clouds, it is becoming very clear, like more who can help us and who can't. And in some ways, it is going to make maybe front office decisions easier because certain guys are just not performing in the way that we need them to. So, yeah, we'll see how they decide. And, well, it may be very clear, yeah, this is why this guy's not on our team anymore, because some of the things that have happened this season so far. Nako saying, woo, Nelly, the Detroit Pistons, is Monty Williams that good of a development coach? Poor Cade. Whatever. I mean, I'm not even going to worry about their dumpster fire and how many games they've lost in a row right now. That is crazy. That is crazy. In some ways, once again, the friendship of Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes is good because Cade can tell Scotty just how bad it is in Detroit. And Scotty can be like, well, at least I'm not in Detroit. Toronto is doing way better than that. That he has no confidence in anything that's going on there. And at least I know Masai is working hard. I know I like Darko, and I know our future is bright in certain ways. But what I'm hearing from my friend Cade in Detroit just sounds like hell. In some ways, that's a good thing that Cade and Scotty are such close friends. Because if they're comparing notes, Scotty's got to feel better. Smooth saying, good morning. It's not a coaching problem with this team. It's the roster construction. It's messed up. The talent is there, but it just doesn't fit. Players have to be traded. That's the reality. You know what? I've been fighting against this narrative for most of this year, but I'm willing to start conceding that this is true. But I don't blame Bobby and Masai for this either. I mean, there's no reason to blame them for this. They got the most talented players that they could, and they try to put them together to see if it worked. Well, it doesn't. And in some ways, that's part of being a GM is you try different players and rosters, and you see which ones work and which don't. And you tinker with it, and you send people away. So even if people think that it's a fail because this team does not completely fit together, well, it's not like GMs know this beforehand, and they're just future tellers. They got to see if it works. And at this point, it isn't. And every team is a work in progress and continue to strive to get better and better and better over time. And that's what the GM's got to do now is they got to figure out what isn't fitting exactly, be very calculated and very, very smart, and try to be as sure as possible with what will be the right thing to take away and what is the right thing to add to maybe make this jumbled mess make more damn sense. So yeah, you actually, Smooth, you got me to concede that yes, our roster build is not exactly right. This is the first time I've said this on this channel until today. And I wasn't really concede this, but I am now because it's very apparent that this isn't exactly right. Fiercely saying not to be negative, but if the 500,000 from the IST was not enough of a motivation, Darko's free meal won't either. They need either another incentive or a cataclysmic event to shake or wake them up. Well, a trade will wake them up quick. Watch. Now, I don't think this is the way they're looking at it. And these aren't the problems. It's not the money. It's not the dinners. The problem is that these guys, in some ways, like we said in a recent week, is that they're not coming at the game professionally. They're not coming prepared correctly, and that's different. In all intents and purposes, they could have been much more up for that money and stuff. But I don't know. That's not really. I don't look at it the way you're looking at it, Fiercey. The problem is that they're just not they need to do it on their own without those kind of things around. They need to just be like, I'm professional and I play in the NBA and I need to carry myself and do things a certain way to do this to add up to winning. And regardless of the dinner from Darko or the money from IST, that shouldn't matter. And I don't think those are the carrots that it's not that I know what you're trying to say, but honestly, these little mini goals are good for the team. And he is trying to do something to wake them up. But a trade's going to wake them up real quick and they're going to see it. G's saying last year, 3 players were in the top 10 for steals. We need to focus on defense again, hopefully soon. The ball movement is looking better. Baby steps. Yeah, a recommitment to defense and what they're supposed to be doing is a good, smart thing for them to be talking about in the tape room right now as they're down at the OVO Center, hopefully already, and they are watching their tape from last night. They are probably already going over the defensive stuff that they need to do better. And that is a big, huge area they need to focus on. As much as the offense has been dreadful and scary, the defense has fallen off now. Monique is saying stars of the game for her in the loss: OG, Dennis, Pascal, Malachi, Scotty, and pray for Chris. I don't know why exactly you're saying pray for Chris. I know he did get hurt last night, but I don't know how dangerous or bad the injury was. You know what? Maybe I need to go look at that since you're making me worried. Because you keep saying pray for Chris. You said it last night in the Facebook chat, and now you're saying it again. Let me just go look at what the injury report says about Chris right now. Because honestly, all right, let's see. Chris Boucher has been ruled out for the remainder of Monday's game against the Knicks after suffering a left thigh bruise in the second half. Eric Kareen reports. He got a bruise. It just hurt. It just hurt in his knee. He's not going to miss any time. He'll play on Wednesday. I'll tell you that right now. So don't worry about Chris so much. I would say pray for Mogi. That's probably a better person to pray for right now. Chris is fine. He just got a really bad bruise in his leg, and it hurt. And that meant he couldn't play for the rest of the game. But I fully expect them to be ready for Wednesday because a bruise is not something that keeps people out. Carlos saying the thing about Darko's free meal is it's easy and doable, a 3-game win streak. Well, I think if we can beat Atlanta twice in a row and win against Denver next week, that'd be awesome. I mean, we have a 4-game home stand coming up right now. We got 4 games in a row in Toronto, and then we're going to go on the road quite a bit after that. So these 4 home games coming up, including the Denver Nuggets, are really important games, and hopefully we can get mostly wins out of these 4 games. Let's see. Fiercey G saying MSJ saying Fiercey, the beatings will continue until morale improves. That sounds horrible. Let's see. Carlos saying, yeah, baby steps. I'm not mad at that game yesterday. Improvements are there, and winning the NBA isn't easy. That's right. Winning the NBA is very, 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 very hard. In fact, most people that play in the NBA never win an NBA championship. That's something that people forget too, like around Raptors Nation. A lot of players, great players that play in this league, never, ever win a title. And we have guys that have won titles and have that accomplishment. And I wish they respect them more. Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph. Beloved Raptors freaks, most informed of the game. Blessings, 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 blessings. I prepared to watch a good Raptors basketball game last night, hoping for a dominant win. That wasn't the case. Oh well. Yeah, it was tough. It's tough. It was an entertaining game. I feel like everybody's saying, there was a lot of good productive things that happened. It just didn't add up to win. Fiercely saying at MSJ, absolutely. Mentality and morale need to go up. And Get them back into shape there. God, geez, come on now, guys. Yeah, I think that the morale is not that bad still. I think that these guys are really smart about keeping things together and like positive and happy. It's the problem is like mentality. I feel like these guys are like not totally zoning in professionally in the right kind of ways with how they treat the game and come into games. And I feel like that's a problem. That's the problem. Wayne saying yes, Fiercey. Non-producers have to go. It was an open game, and if shooters can't shoot in an open game, he's got to go. His replacement is being groomed. Gary is toast. Absent a miraculous recovery. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to predict the future, but Gary is not looking good right now. That's for sure. Gary has the yips. I don't know if it's that. I think that the dude just needs to get over whatever mental things happening and just get in the zone, clear his mind, and just take the shots, bro. You're too good. You've trained too long. You have this in your DNA, and you've done this your whole entire life. Just get back to it. It's simple. It's simple, bro. Cut out all that other shit that you're thinking about around it and just do the purity of getting your shot right with your form and making that ball go through the hoop, bro. I know you can do this. You've gotten in that Zen zone before, Gary. You get in it. You've got to find it again and very soon. Hopefully against Atlanta tomorrow. Nako saying there's a reality where Gary can start. It's not with this roster. Jeez. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't think that Gary is actually a starter in the NBA. Seriously. I don't think he is. I think that when we started him the last couple of years, it's because we didn't have a center. But in some ways, he is a bench player, and he should just be a bench player because he's not steady enough. Part of the reason why I think he's a bench player is because he's very one-dimensional in some ways. He doesn't add a lot of stats other than shooting and scoring. He'll get some steals, but he's not filling it up with any rebounds or assists. And in some ways, if you don't have good all-around players in your starting lineup, you're lacking. And that was a problem when he started for us in the last couple of years. The fact that he's just, if he doesn't make his shots, he's useless out there. And you don't want a player in starter minutes or starting that if they're not making their shots, which is often, it seems these days, it's just dead minutes. It's dead minutes because he's not helping you with other stuff in the game other than maybe some good defense and some steals here if he's not hitting his shot. It's not like he's setting other guys up and playing really good assist stuff. It's not like he's getting in there and getting a ton of rebounds. So that's why I don't think it's good to start him, is because if you're really relying on him, hopefully to be making a shot no matter what. Kareem saying Gary is all mental right now. He just needs to listen to more Prince and Lenny Kravitz, and he will get his groove back. Really interesting stuff going on with Lenny Kravitz right now. Having criticism about BET and the source for never ever celebrating him and putting a shine on him. And they're saying, well, you weren't available for us. And he's saying, no. When I came to you guys and I told you I'd be a part of your shows, you said that I didn't fit your format, that my genre of music was something that you weren't interested on putting on BET award shows or the source. And I could see this because Lenny Kravitz is a rock and roll guy, and he's always played guitar and rocked out. And it's very interesting because Living Color, the band, one of my favorite bands of all time, they came out and made a statement that sides with Lenny, saying that they had the same similar experience with this kind of stuff, that they'd be available for BET or a source to come and be on those shows, but because they're rock and roll, they were told that you're not a part of our genres and stuff. And then Living Color comes around and says, well, look, Black people invented rock and roll. What are you talking about? This has always been our form of music. It's just that white people appropriated it and it became more of their thing. And now Black people are telling us, oh, we can't have rock and roll music at our awards show, when it's actually very, very much originating from Black people, the rock and roll music. So it's a very interesting conversation centering around Lenny Kravitz, Living Color, and what is Black music and what isn't. Rock and roll is Black music, y'all. It is. It always has been. And in some ways, people that don't believe that, you got to go listen to Little Richard. You got to go listen to some of the stuff from way back. Let's see. All right. I don't know. I got on that tangent. It's because you brought up Lenny Kravitz. And that's what I was thinking about with him right now. Man, the letter that Corey Glover wrote yesterday of Living Color about this issue is amazing. He really spells it all out. Chris is saying, that's right, Lex. Fuck it. Just watch the game. The Raps need a long walk in the desert because this team isn't working right. Mental toughness would have won last night's game. It's just not there. That's what everybody's lesson right now as a Raptors fan who really wants the team to win is you can't control everything in your life. And that's what it is. We got to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Isn't that song? Let it go. Let's see. Fiercely saying front office is watching. When Masai said they're building around Scotty, I wouldn't be surprised they evaluate current paintings with the pairings with the bench. They see in the long run who would mesh with him as well with him. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, there is tryouts for not just the team, but the team in the future with Scotty and who is working the best with him. MSJ saying Kareem Thomas and Genuine. Kareem Thomas and Genuine. Okay. Let's see. What else are we saying here? Oh, Milbester is here. I'm going to get the Milbester's comments at some point, I'm sure. Oh, no, 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 no. Hang on. All right. I do definitely need a cutoff. No more comments at all at this point. Strict cutoff right now. He brought up Genuine. Okay, there it is. Nako's saying, seeing the youngins make good plays is giving me life. Pascal playing well can also be nothing but good. So be there a trade or no trade. Yeah, I'm not going to make that decision. We'll see what happens. Kareem saying, laugh out loud at Chris. Next meet and greet, you got to sing Genuine. I'll sing Like a Virgin by Madonna. We got to do this again. If y'all are going to do that, we're going to do this for sure. We're definitely going to have to do this before I get out of here where I live right now. We definitely have to go have another hangout at the Real Jerk on a Thursday night with the karaoke because that was fun. That was fun. Space Cadet saying, finally back from hiatus. Houston has second-ranked defense. Ours is now 18th. The defensive prowess of Dylan Brooks or the defensive prowess of Fred VanVleet? I don't know. Dylan Brooks is a great defensive player, but also they got some good defenders in the youngsters around Houston too. Good point, and welcome back, Space Cadet. Good to see you. Most saying, I'll say Atlanta is almost like us, in my opinion, game-wise. They're in a similar place in the standings. And they're kind of having a similar kind of feel to their season so far. It's a little bit rudderless and in trouble. And that's why both of us are in the same place. Well, we need to move up and they need to go down. Chris is saying, at Kareem, I will have to think about that one. Yeah, you're going to sing some Genuine Pony, right? That's the song you're going to sing. Fiercely saying, I would give an antidote on why bathing isn't good when you're hit with bad news. But Lex don't want extra distractions. So she could give us a whole lecture on why it is not good to bathe while you're in a bad mood. This is interesting. I bet you it has something to do with showers can be damaging for your skin. If you take too many hot showers, it can actually be bad for you in some ways. But I don't know. In some ways, it's very soothing and makes you feel better too. If we had more time, Fiercey, maybe we would delve into this more. If we have more time. Cool Cat saying, we have to remember that this is the year of the reset with a new coach and a new system and a new franchise player. This is an observation year. Stop thinking about previous year teams. It's a new era. Comparison is the thief of happiness. And this Raptors team is exactly this Raptors team now, and it is not a Raptors team from any other year prior to this. And that is exactly right. Wayne saying it's called detachment lexicon. We're enjoying a good game by a local team, win or lose respectfully. That's wishing for a miracle, Kareem. Detached from Gary Trent Jr. Yeah, that's a great term for it. Detachment. Detach yourself from being connected emotionally to the team at this point because it's not worth it. Do we want that much collateral damage with the Raptors losing so much that everybody's lives are wreaked with havoc and sadness and depression and all this kind of stuff? No, fuck that. Detach yourself. But still love the team and be a fan and want the wish the best for them. There's levels to this, y'all. Y'all don't just have to be so angry that you feel upset and hurt by the team because they lost and it hurts you emotionally that you lash out at them. That's immaturity. Come on, y'all. You know that's immaturity when you do shit like that. That just shows you you're emotionally immature if you cannot detach yourself from the losing of the Raptors. Let's see. Jillian saying, if it's just a 2-possession, I can't get you upset. I love that Jillian always brings this realistic thing around. It's only a 2-possession game. We're right there. It's close. It's just learning how to win in the crunch time right at the end and making that winning formula come through with the W. And it's very close. It's not like a blowout. It's not like New York just absolutely kicked the shit out of us. In fact, they did a lot of things really, really well, and we still hung with them. As Jack was saying, this team is shooting really well for New York, and we were not that far from them. And we had things we did not do well that could clean up, and who knows, that could have made us win. So, yeah, Jillian always keeping that perspective. It was a 2-possession game. That's right. Nako's saying you want Fred more than Dennis. Obvious, absolutely. You don't want him for that Rockets contract. I probably want Brunson more than Fred. Oh yeah, no, I don't want Fred for that price. And listen, I'm happy with Dennis. I'm not upset that Fred's gone. When I say this about Fred today, it's really that I want to show people from last year and how they criticized Fred, his absence, where he could have actually maybe helped us. And the game last night really is telling. It's the kind of game where Fred could have been a huge difference and would have possibly guided us to a win in that close of a game. So that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not going to go back in the past and say it changed different. I want Fred back here now. No, we've got Dennis now, and I'm very happy with that. It's just that I want to point out to Raptors fans that in some ways, last night, Fred VanVleet being a Raptors jersey may have made the outcome different. Let's see. Carlos saying, I would want Fred as lead and Dennis as a backup. Laugh out loud. That would have been great. That would have been a great glut of point guards, and what a great arrangement. That'd be a luxury. Holy crap. I wouldn't mind that setup either. Yeah, Brunson ahead of them. Jillian saying, Lex, this year at this tune, he has more at this time we had more losses. See, so we're doing a little bit better than last year at this time. So that's good. Stargate saying at Fiercely, the only person I see that's been matching with him over the past few games, believe it or not, Pascal. Isn't that ironic? Despite all that early talk about they can't play together. Yeah, they are all matching with Scotty pretty well now. I called it out a couple days ago, and now I see him working with Dennis really well, and that made me feel better. That made me feel better that in some ways these guys can really work off each other. I knew they could. It's Dennis can play with anybody. It's just Scotty needs to get a connection with him and them work together more often because there's so much good stuff that can happen between stuff with Scotty and Dennis. And there's a lot of good synergy. And Dennis could really set Scott up for some really easy stuff and vice versa. In fact, that's what we saw last night. Scotty getting the extra pass to Dennis, and he's getting a layup. Yeah, I got your correction, Jillian. And David's saying, I actually thought we played pretty well last night. Defense was bad at times. Starters don't look good together. Personally, I think Darko should try starting Gary, see if that helps. I'd rather him put Precious in the starting lineup over Gary. I'd rather him put Malachi in the starting lineup than Gary. You know that means a lot, David, if I said just that. Yeah, you don't reward somebody for playing so shit by putting him in the starting lineup. That's why I don't understand everybody who's pushing for Gary to be in the starting lineup is because he's played like absolute shit. What kind of reward system is this? Play absolute shit. We're going to put you in the starting lineup. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. You give it to the guy who's playing better. And Malachi's played better recently. So in some ways, I would pick Malachi to be in the starting lineup over Gary. I would pick Precious to be in the starting lineup over Gary. So that's the way it is. Even Chris, I would even think about starting Chris in the starting lineup over Gary. So you don't reward a guy who's playing 0 for 7s and fucking shit like this. Cookhead saying, as core players leave, fans reminisce the golden era. Same will happen when Pascal moves on, OG moves on. It's okay. A new era is upon us. It takes time to adjust. Oh my gosh. Cookhead speaking the truth, but also depressing and just kind of bumming me out when you say stuff like that. Trevor's saying, and Chris got hurt last night. I think it's just a bruise from what I read. If it makes him miss one game, that's it. He won't miss more than that. He could miss Wednesday at the most. I don't see him being out more than one game, if not at all. I could see him just showing up and playing. It's a bruise. He got really bad bruise on his leg. That's all. It's not like anything's broken. It's not like anything's sprained. He just has a bruise. And you know how bruises are. They can just feel like they hurt. Let's see. Wayne saying Dennis takes responsibility for not so good game. Where's Gary's acknowledgement of poor play? Doesn't have to be on blast, but when interviewed, it's just blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but listen, he's not getting very many interviews this year at all. And when he does, it's usually a practice interview, and it's kind of like he's just saying what everybody else is saying. We got to keep trying to stay together. We got to make our shots. We got to do this. He's saying it obliquely, and he knows. Like, honestly, I've heard Gary, when he's in a bad place, very much take responsibility for how he's playing. So let's not act like that Gary's not going through the same kind of shit that Dennis would, because he does. He does. And he does really super care. I mean, the man's made his whole life to play in the NBA, like right from like being like 6 years old. So it's like everything matters to Gary. Trust me. It's not a casual thing about this with him. Not at all. His career is very important to him. Trust me. Mo's saying we played so much better. Kia Nurse pregame. This isn't a good 3-point shooting team. Lex, I couldn't tell you if you were joking with your comments in the group chat. No, I don't watch them. Fuck them. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to hear any of them. Brad Fay, Daniel Michaud, Kia Nurse, Katie Heindel, or whatever, or no, Katie Burness, Leo, Sherman, and Brad. I don't want to hear any of those jackasses in the pregame because it's not like they're setting up the game for people that don't pay attention as much as we do. So it's not like they're telling me anything. And often they're just very negative with their slant. Like Brad Fay takes too much glee and saying the Raptors have lost 3 games in a row. Let's see if they can right the ship tonight. You know, it's very fucking insincere and kind of like giddy in some ways when the Raptors aren't doing well, their deliveries. And that's why I can't fucking watch them. It's like, yeah, tell me that they have one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the world, Kia Nurse, but without a smile, please. Because in some ways that does matter to me. And these media types are too happy when the Raptors are failing, and it pisses me off. That's why I don't watch them. It's funny because we're watching the game last night, and I'm saying shit while we're watching the game, and Adriana's amazed that I say something, and then like 2 seconds later, Matt Devlin or Jack Armstrong says it in the broadcast. She's like, that is weird. How do you do that? And I'm like, I just know what they're going to say because I could call this game just like they do. Y'all saw how I called the FIBA games. I'm very good at it. And that's the thing. I will call the game a little bit with when she's sitting next to me. And she's like, holy shit, you just said the same exact thing Jack Armstrong said 2 seconds after you. So there's a lot of like things where I don't need to watch the pregame because I know what the fuck they're saying already. And I hate them. I honestly do. I can't stand Brad Fay. I can't stand Danielle Michaud. I do like Kia Nurse because she's a WNBA player, and I do like her most of the time. But if they're being negative, they're talking down the team, I don't have any time for that. I don't want to hear their negative noise. No, I'm not listening. Let's see. Carlos saying to add that to Cool Cat. Fans quickly forget that Masai is the architect of the golden age we just experienced, and now after 2 subpar seasons, ungrateful motherfuckers. Yeah, they don't understand what is good in our team and what we're doing, what is important and needs to be protected and is valuable. And they just think that everybody's they're not very smart. They don't understand how important Masai is to our success. And everybody who's coming after Masai, you want the Raptors to get even worse because that's what you'll get if Masai leaves. This team will be in a really crazy place without Nick Nurse and Masai around it. In some ways, they were bench bedrocks in our team that really made us a high-level team and a badass team. And Nick's gone. And y'all can see the uncertainty of starting with a new coach like Darko and how it's hard to get established and get anybody to respect him and get him to feel like, oh, this is a good coach. That's why teams go through coaching carousels because it's really hard to find a really good coach that everybody trusts and is a bona fide successful winner. That's why what happened with Nick was awful, was insidious, and was really fucked up because that whole kit and caboodle with Nick Nurse is now coaching the Sixers, an opponent of ours. And this is why I fucking hate Nick right now because he's a snake, just like Kevin Durant. He went and took the change sides just like Kevin did from Oklahoma City to Golden State. It's the same damn shit. And that's why I'm pissed off about this. He went there for easier winning because he knows it's easier to win with the whistle for Embiid versus the whistle for Siakam. And he purposefully hurt our team last year so he could get fired, so he could go coach for Daryl Morey. And that's what I'm saying. I wish that he had just stuck to it and we could have just been healthy and fine, but it didn't go that way. I think Rich Paul is a big part of the reason why this happened too. So it sucks. But that's the thing. These important cornerstones of our franchise are really important. And Masai is one of them, Raptors fans. And you can see how it feels after Nick left. It'll be even worse. In fact, it's everything if Masai leaves. Everything will be uncertain and shaky, and we will be just like the purple dinosaurs of the 90s. I'm telling y'all, I'm warning y'all. So stop pushing for Masai to leave. Y'all are fucking don't understand the danger and the sadness that will happen to our team. It'll be really worse. Really, really worse. Trust me, it will. Let's see. Stargate saying, Carlo, you're 100% correct. Yes, Carlo, that's right. And that Messiah is the architect, and we need to praise him and value him and thank him for, he brought an NBA championship to our city, y'all. In a lot of ways, he's the architect of that. David's saying, you thought the refs were favoring us? Wow. It was pretty bad last night. Laugh out. No, they were giving this first half, they were really nice to us. They were putting us on the line. We were getting a lot of free throw attempts. They were respecting our guys going in the lane and getting hit and fouled, and they were rewarding them with free throws where other ref crews would ignore it and not give us any calls. They were making calls against the Knicks in the beginning of the game, and they were very much favoring us in the first half. In the second half, it was way more even. It was way more even, but they were helpful at times. Let's just put it that way. The refs were helpful to the Raptors last night, and you can ask Knicks fan; they probably tell you that's not fair. That's bullshit. What happened there? Yeah, there were some calls that went our way for sure. Wayne saying Scotty and us were robbed of a point early with Scotty's 3-pointer was determined wrongly as a 2. OG was robbed too in that Brunson's foul. Yeah, I agree with both of those. And in some ways, this is the thing. Both those calls were done by New Jersey, though. Secaucus made those calls from far away. The Scotty 3-pointer is really fucked up, but that's just 1 point. That would have made it a 5-point loss instead of a 6-point loss. And then the take foul with Jalen Brunson is unorthodox because it's right under the basket. Usually, if there's a take foul, it's in a fast break situation in the middle of the court. But this was still a fast break situation. It's just that it was right underneath the basket. And Jalen Brunson totally did a take foul because he didn't play for the ball. He just grabbed him around the arms. And that is the epitome of a take foul. And even if it's underneath the basket, it's still part of the fast break. And it should have been called at that point. Bill Kennedy didn't want to add extra on it, so he didn't put any extra flavor in on either one of those two take foul calls. And in some ways, the other one could have been really bad for Siakam. I'm serious. I've seen somebody for kicking out their leg like that and tripping somebody get a flagrant foul or even an ejection from a game. So Bill Kennedy was soft on Siakam for that one play where he lost the ball and he kicked out the leg and tripped Josh Hart. So they played both ways. They did. And they went right down the line. They said, okay, we're not putting extra flavor on this foul with OG, and we're not going to do it with this one with Josh Hart either. So that's really kind of the way that happened there. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, Carlo, fans that are asking for a rebuild are in the midst of one already and not able to handle the slide that comes with it. More changes to come with the rebuild. Yeah, it's a tinkering. It's a retinkering. We're not just clearing it all, starting right completely over. We're tinkering with it and making changes because most of it's pretty good. It's just something's not exactly right. Let's see. Carlos saying facts, Cool Cat. We basically have all our assets, and the only blemish is the expiring guys, which almost looks like we're keeping one or both. Maybe except for this year's pick is gone. Yeah, and whatever will be, will be. The management will manage this team as best they can with the parameters and the specific situations we're in. Once again, a lot of fans that think the front office can unilaterally just move any which way and do whatever the fuck they want. You do not have a realistic idea of what GMing in the NBA is and how particular and specific every single possible deal has to be, as far as there's so much that has to be worked out. As far as like was the player want to be where they were maybe going? Is there problems with injuries? Is there worried about fit? They're worried about all kinds of different things extra than just casuals who are on an ESPN trade machine. So understand this job is like whatever you think that job is and how simple you think being an NBA GM is, it's actually a million times harder. Whatever you casuals out there that think it's so easy to be a Bobby Webster, the job is actually a million times harder. And thank God we have a genius named Bobby Webster in that position. And he is very calculating, very smart, very competitive. And he is always trying to do the right thing for our team. Trust me. I trust him. I trust Masai and Bobby very, very much. And I wish more regular Raptors fans would too. And understand that like everything is going to either be a win or a loss. And the winning percentage of the GM of the Raptors is very high. And the most things that they're doing is a positive net for the team and not a negative net. They're not making shitty moves and fucking them up. They're not doing boneheaded, stupid shit. They're being smart. You know, you could say Philadelphia let Jimmy Butler walk. You know, that's a fuck up. There's all kinds of other fuck ups in other teams. And in some ways, every team's going to fuck up from time to time. And the fuck ups by the Raptors are not as huge and crazy as some other teams, is what I would say. Let's see. Mugabe saying, "Good morning, Raptors freaks. Darko's rotation is shit." I was saying in the chat last night that he rotated really, really well right up until like the fourth quarter or so. Like right around the fourth, I was like, "Oh, this is a bad rotation now." Like I thought he rotated everybody really well for the first three quarters. It was really near the end that, oh fuck, I shouldn't have said something about him rotating so well this game because he kind of fucked up the rotation late. I will say that. Mo's saying Darko isn't the problem. Dennis isn't the problem. Nope. Nope. I think you guys are right at this point. Roster construction is the big problem, and there's going to need to be a change. Let's see. David's saying not a problem, but O needs to do better. Dennis, the shooter with the umlaut, that's what you're saying there. Okay, David, I can say that. Dennis is working hard. He played good last night. It's a night to night basis. Let's see where he's at. Sue's here. Played again, Sue, y'all. Sue has a music reaction YouTube channel. It's good stuff. Y'all should check it out. She recently reacted to a U2 song, the first appearance on TV, and it was so fun. I was like, oh man, I love this. Yeah, they were really fresh faced at that time. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Let's keep the faith. That's right. With the purple and red heart. All right, Sue. Good stuff. You know what, Sue? You're awesome. I'm going to give Sue a dunk. I know Sue's on here. There she is. She's up in the corner. Yeah, she's going to get a dunk for coming in and sharing positivity. Kareem saying, I don't care what anyone says. I'm never going to be Randy to move on from Pascal. I'm never going to be ready to move on from Pascal or OG. We just need some competent shooting. Yeah, someone's going to have to give, though. I really do feel like one of those guys is going to get traded, though. I really do. I think that they're the most valuable players that are possibly going to be moved. And that a lot of the trade talk right now may actually have some reality to it. I think one of those guys is probably going to get moved. And there is a lot of talk about Indiana and that deal that I brought up, maybe in the cards. I mean, who knows? OG for Buddy Hield, Ben Mathurin, and Andrew Nebhart. I'm all for that. Pacers, would you do that? You want more defense? You OG Anunoby, Indiana Hoosier. You love him a lot. And if we traded him for Mathurin, who had an amazing game last night, who had a very much a dog performance, a 30-point game for those guys, I would do it. You get a backup point guard, you get a 3-point specialist, and you get an up-and-coming younger star that's on a lower contract. But meanwhile, y'all get the ultimate two-way player that's absolutely fantastic, and he will really help y'all's defense, Pacers. Seriously. So you need to consider that. You already are okay with Hield going somewhere else. I know that. And he's on an expiring contract. But if you want to make it worth our while, you throw in those two young Canadians and you send them home to their country. Yeah, bring them home. That's what I'm saying. I know y'all don't want to deal with Mathurin. They really, really don't want to do that. I'm sure that may be a sticking point, but I'm telling y'all, OG's worth it. Trust me. He really is. Let's see. Carlos saying alley-oop to Kareem. Same with me. I don't envy Masai and Bobby's job. Yeah, it's not easy, and nobody understands exactly what that job is like. They think they know. They think it's so easy because they play 2K or fucking NBA games or they do trade machines, but it isn't that easy. There's a whole lot of other things that these guys have to consider that people that are looking at it from the outside do not understand. There's all kinds of tax and money stuff. There's things dealing with agents. There's personal relationships between people that are dealing. Like Sam Presti is hard to deal with. And you when you're doing a deal, it's not like you're doing it with the computer and it just tells you, oh, green light or red light on whether you can do it. No, you're talking to somebody on the phone and they may be a dick and they may be like, I don't want to deal with you like this. I don't want to deal with you. There's so much more to it. The casuals just do not understand about being a GM in the NBA. So much more to it. Let's see. Fiercely saying, I didn't think about Precious's forehead. You may be right, Lex, because he's always fixing it. And when he misses passes thrown at him, I keep telling myself, be ready for the pass. No, it's a self-conscious thing. I mean, everybody gets so picked on and stupid shit. And people, like I said, Kyle Lowry making fun of Malachi's bald spot the other day. I saw it on camera. It's like Kyle came over after the game. He's like, what is this? It's like, Kyle's like that. He's a ball buster. And he can get away with that with his young rook, Malachi from before. No, it's a self-conscious thing. And in some ways, there's probably bullying. There's something stupid shit people have said to certain people or something like that. And he just wants to have it covered because maybe it's the way he looks, the way he looks or something like that. I don't think it's been a distraction in games or taking him out of plays too much. I've paid attention to him when he loses it. And he kind of just waits for a stoppage of play and he tries to fix it then. So let's see. Fiercely saying at Stargate, facts, 100%. Pascal and him mesh very well, which is why I get annoyed when some ask for Pascal to be gone. In some ways, I think that Pascal meshes with Scotty better than OG. Like, even though OG and Scotty are very close friends, you don't see them play off each other as much as you see Scotty playing off of Pascal. In some ways, the interaction between Scotty and OG is just like a kick out and OG taking a three. But there's not really the kind of like two-man action that like Scotty would do off Pirtle or Pascal with OG. And it's just that way. Let's see. Fun guy is saying, man, Lex, when you read out my comments, they come off so way off how I intend. Laugh out loud. I never mean to write with toxicity or aggression, but I'm really trying to type with humor. Hard fail. You know what it is? I don't read sarcasm really well. And if you're trying to be funny and kind of in sarcasm, it may not come across. I don't think you're toxic, fun guy. I think that in a lot of ways, you've been a voice of reason and reality in some cases where I probably need to listen to you more, especially last year. We got to that point where you're like, Lex, we're not agreeing on this. And you were right. And you had me come around and agree with you near the end of the year that some of your criticisms of what was happening with the Raptors last year were valid. And I'll continue to say that. So that's why you get a little bit of extra favor because you were right and I was wrong at times last year. And I don't mind you being yourself. Don't worry about how you come off. In some ways, you're patched in, and I want you to be your true self. And listen, I'll try and put it in the best light. And if I don't properly say what you said in the right way, and you want to clarify afterwards, you have totally that right. Always to justify or verify or correct me if I'm not saying your comment correctly. So yeah, I'll give you a lot of leeway. You specifically, because of things last year. Monique is saying back in the arena tomorrow. I'll bring the energy, of course. I'm just not going to Friday's game versus the Hawks. Not on the list. Well, Mo, listen, you're a busy, busy lady, and I know you get it to as many, many games as possible. And we'll be so happy that you'll be down there. Hopefully, your vibes will come in strong, and we will start this home game stand right with a big victory over Trae Young and the Hawks tomorrow. I love that. Yeah. Fiercely saying good news. The Bulls lost as well. So we're still 11. After our win against the Hawks tomorrow, we will be number 10. I'm manifesting. Let's go Raptors. In some ways it's weird. We haven't slipped in the standings, even though we've been losing so much. It's kind of like a weird strata. You got Detroit and Washington and those teams below us. And then we're kind of like right underneath the play-in. But it's really weird because the teams right around us, like Atlanta and Chicago, are really kind of having trouble too. So we're kind of staying in stasis right underneath the play-in spot. It's like we're not just like plummeting down the Eastern Conference standings because there are little groups of different aptitude and skill level with the Eastern Conference. And because we're too talented, we're just not winning. We're not like Washington and Detroit at the bottom, but we're not up there over Brooklyn and Atlanta in the way that we should be yet. But we will be, trust me. We just got to get this going right. Yeah, Bryce is saying thoughts on Gary right now. It sucks. I'm sad for him, Bryce. I really want him to get it going. Just get it going, Gary. We all just want to see you succeed. Nobody wants to hate on you. Nobody wants to see you get traded. Nobody wants to see you flame out in your NBA career. We all want to see you kick ass and be as successful as possible. David's saying, try starting him. It's one of the few things Darko hasn't tried. I know y'all keep pushing on this, but my opinion is I put it out there ad nauseum. Once again, you don't reward somebody who's playing so shit. You really, really don't. It's sending the wrong message to your team. In fact, if they really want Gary to get better, they should put Malachi in the starting lineup and say, look, Malachi got better from earlier this season. If you want to start, Gary, you got to play better. Because honestly, it's not about starting or bench. Y'all keep bringing this up, and people keep saying this. I don't give a shit about all the stats in the world that Karthika could put out there, or Ahmet Man could say whatever the fuck on Twitter about Gary starting. I don't give a shit. They're wrong. They are wrong. It's not going to help him. He's going to shoot just as shitty in the starting lineup. Trust me. Fiercely saying at Bryce, I personally think he should rest and heal for some reason, but he keeps playing and his stats are declining. I don't hear as much from his dad either. He seems to be low profile too. His dad's just doing his own thing. I follow him on Instagram. He's kind of just doing his goofy stuff where he posts goofy things. He's doing his workouts and stuff. I don't even know how much he's around Gary up here in Toronto at this point. He really is doting on the younger siblings and training them in Ohio and Minnesota than being in Toronto for Gary's games right now. So I don't know how much senior is in proximity to junior right now. I really don't know. Let's see. David's saying, hey, got to give Flynn credit. He's starting to look like he deserves a rotation spot for real. Yeah. He's been fantastic. I'm really happy. I gave him one of the stars last night. I was happy with how he played last night. Mixed bag, though. He did have failure. I still hate how he missed that layup, though. Like, holy crap, Malachi. That's a place where you're not fundamentally very good. Like, how the fuck can you just put it off the backboard and let it fall in? You do some extra shit and it kind of like sits up there and then falls out. That's no good. Get your fundamentals on the way you lay balls up better. I don't know if you're doing some sort of extra spin or whatever. Just fucking clean it up. It's a layup, for God's sake. Just fucking clean it up, bro. Fun guy saying, hey, Lex, if you had to tinker with our starting lineup, what ideas would you explore? For me, Scotty, Gary, OG, Siakam, Koloko, or Precious. See, you just want to take Dennis and Jakob out of there. Well, first of all, I like the starting lineup. I'd like to continue with it. But if we trade a main guy, it's going to change, obviously. Like if we trade OG, the starting lineup's going to change. So, that's the way I'd like to change it. I don't want to change it for now because I don't think that anybody from the bench is warranted. As I said earlier, I would put Precious or Malachi in the starting lineup before Gary right now. I would. I seriously would. If you really want Dennis to not be in the starting lineup, I would put Malachi in the starting lineup ahead of him right now. This is part of the problem. You put Gary in the starting lineup, he's not the point guard. Then Scotty has to be the point guard, and then it's just trouble. It's just trouble because Scotty is not ready to be the full-time point guard. That's part of the reason why everybody wants Gary in the starting lineup too, is the Scotty lovers really want Scotty to be point guard, and it's not a good idea. It just isn't. So that's another whole reason. Besides the whole thing is that Gary's probably not going to shoot well in the starting lineup or on the bench right now because he's hurt. Is I don't want to see Scotty full-time point guard from the start of the game. It's not a winning formula right now. Trust me, it just isn't. He's not ready. Most saying stars couldn't finish. Always with these guys, no matter what. The starters couldn't finish it. Yeah, they're not adding up to winning at the end, the best five that we start. And that's why people want to change that lineup so bad. Stargate saying the records from 5 to 12 in the East are so close right now, and we're still so much more basketball to play. Anything can happen. Great point by Stargate. He's exactly right. Lumpy Rex is saying Gary is hot garbage. Can't disagree with this from Lumpy Rex. Holding it down in Raptors Freak Nation, Mr. Lumpy Rex 007. Kareem saying it's crazy the Knicks have DiVincenzo, Grimes, Brunson, Barrett, Julius. They can all shoot. Plus, they don't even use Fournier. Raps don't even come close with that type of production with shooting. Yeah, this is really our Achilles heel. Other teams have better collections of shooters, and they get way more stuff done and easier. It seems like everything is difficult for us with shooting, and it sucks. And part of it is our shooters that are supposed to be shooters are just not very good right now. And Lumpy's saying if Gary is hurt, sit him. I agree with this. Grady, get more minutes. Put Grady in, is what I say. All right, here's Knicks fan. Let's see what Knicks fan is saying today. Milbester, hey, Raptor Streak, how are you today? I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm able to separate my life and my emotions from whether the Raptors are winning. It's very mature and adult of me, unlike a lot of Raptors Nation. Knicks beat you Raptors again, and without Robinson and Quickly, Brunson was a game-time decision with an ankle injury, but he played. Sims started at center. Yeah, Sims was an undersized center. He wasn't totally horrible. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're in a bad place right now. You can catch us in a bad place where we don't have our shit figured out and things are rough, and you guys have things clicking. So, yeah, things are good for you guys right now. It is what it is. Will it stay like this forever? No, it won't. So, yeah, enjoy it while it lasts is what I'm saying. It could be for this year, could be for a couple of years. I'm not saying that it may change quickly, but it could change quickly. We don't know. Cool Cat saying at the root of the problem is that we don't have a good supporting cast to our trio compared to other teams. Our supporting cast is developing. Yeah. In some ways, that's probably true. Mobester's saying Sims is our third backup center behind Mitchell and Hartenstein. Robinson is out 8 to 10 weeks with left ankle surgery. He won't be back until late March. The Knicks make the playoffs. He's ready by then. Yeah. Okay. Milbester's saying, but Sims is going to get more playing time, which I'm happy for him because he's such a good player. Sims is an excellent player at doing screens and also his jumping reach when dunks is amazing. Just has to work on his offense because he's a good defender to go along with setting up screens. Okay, that's great. Cooket's saying, happy that Grady hit a shot in the game, slow and steady. Yeah, it wasn't even that he hit a shot. It was a goaltending call that he got favored for. He didn't go in. They grabbed the net and messed up the rim, and so was a goaltending. And that's how he got the shot. But, yeah, the 2 points, he did make a basket technically. Everybody for the Raptors scored last night, which was good. Mel Bester saying Raptor Streak. The one thing I forgot to mention yesterday regarding Israel is that all right, you're bringing this shit up again. Seriously, I don't even want to deal with this. I'm not, you know what? In some ways, I may ban that word from this channel at this point because honestly, I've said already my take on what's going on over there, and I'm not going to do a day-to-day hashing out of anything that's fucking going on with that genocide and that fucking ugly bullshit and the war crimes committed by Benjamin Netanyahu right now. Yeah, there again, I said it. The war crimes committed by Israel towards the people of Palestine right now is fucking disgusting. And history is not going to look kindly on that shit over the long haul of things. It is not. Trust me. There's barbaric butchers running the state of Israel right now. Zionists are out of control and they're fucking full of shit. And you can call me an anti-Semite for that. No, I'm a humanist and I stand up for humanity and I don't blindly fucking follow regimes of fucking brutality. And if you understood more clearly what's going on the ground with people there and how the people in the IDF treat the people of Palestine, you would side with me, is what I'm saying. I don't know which side you're on, but I'm just saying you keep fucking bringing that up. You're going to get my hot take on it real quick. Real quick. Yeah. All right. Cool Cat saying Coach Tibbs brought defense toughness to this team first. Now he is adding offense and shooting structure. That's right. Tibbs is building. He's building. He's got his team at another level than the last couple of years where he can add on to things he's already built from the last couple of years. The Raptors are starting completely over with a new coach, and hopefully we can start building like Tibbs has done with the Knicks in the next couple of years. But you got to start somewhere, and that's where we're at right now. In some ways, they're more advanced because they've had more time together with that coach and that group, and they're building on top of things they established from before. And we need to let Darko try and do that himself. So, all right, let's keep going. Norma's saying then Darko needs to scheme against the counters of the opposing teams against Pascal and Scotty. Norma made the live. I love it. Norma, thank you for commenting so often and welcome to the live stream. It's very cool to see you here. I agree with this. In some ways, they got to figure out ways to get them free. That's the really cool thing about the two-man play with Jakob or anything like with Dennis is because they're really working towards getting the guys that we want to take shots. You know, they can help each other get Scotty open and free from the defensive schemes that are trying to not let them get the ball. So that's good stuff. Both Pascal and Scotty need help with two-man action off of Pirtle or Dennis or whoever else that's out there, like Malachi. So, yeah, I'm all about that, Norma. And good. Welcome to see you live in the chat. Monique is saying, you noticed something, Lex. They're not putting Gary Trent Sr. on Raptor Show. That tells me something. What do you think it could be? Dennis is the hotter name, but what do you mean? Gary Trent Sr. on the Raptor Show? When was he other on? Oh, you mean when they call in, like Dennis is calling in. That's right. Gary Trent Sr. would be a guest with Will Liu in the past. That's right. I was getting Raptors Tonight confused with Raptor Show. I'm like, Gary Trent Sr., when has he ever been on with Randy? No, she means Will Liu's show. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Gary Trent Sr. is busy. And Dennis is a much better get right now. I mean, he's an actual player on the team. Carlos saying, I think the counters will come as soon as the team get the initial offense down. Yeah, I think that's in response to Norma's comment. I think that's true. They got to get the basics down and stuff, and then we'll fine tune and we'll do things. That's why Tibbs and their team is in another place. They're able to fine tune and be more specific than the Raptors are right now. Cool Cat saying we had 10 years of winning record and we got spoiled. Now we are in a reset towards a new era. We're still learning Coach Darko's system. It takes time. Cool Cat, a voice of reason, honesty, and perspective. And that's exactly right. Yeah, I'm going to skip Milbester because it's not Raptors or basketball related. If you're talking Knicks, I'd do it. But if it's others, and she's here too. So I have no fucking time for baseball talk or Israel talk because my girlfriend is knocking on the door and she's looking at me right now. She wants me to be done. I told her, I said, do 2 hours and I'm 13 minutes over that right now. In all due respect, I might just skip you a little bit right now because I don't have time for extra stuff. Let's see. Cool Cat's saying, basketball gods, please heal Koloko faster. We need him back to learn Darko's system so he can help. I like that. Yes, please. Monique saying, fuck you if you say tank. No, and no. I hate the word. Okay, yeah, he brought that up, and he's a Knicks fan. You're going to get a strike. You're going to get a strike because you're not going to tell us to tank. Fuck you, Knicks. You don't fucking tell us to tank. No, you don't. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip you, Mobester. You kind of pissed me off because you're bringing up Israel and baseball and shit that we just don't talk about here. I give my time for the stream, and it's supposed to be about basketball. It's supposed to be about the Raptors and who they're playing. And if you can't keep it to that subject, I allow the regulars to do a little bit, but you're other nation, and you're bringing in all kinds of other shit that just doesn't need to be talked about here. Let's see. David's telling me, yeah, you tell him to fuck off, right? Mo. Stargate saying at Mo, no tank commanders around here. That's right. And Adonde's with it. He's with it. Good to see Adonde Raps Gaming. Cool Cat saying also Scotty will get the inside scoop on Houston Rockets from Jalen Green. Yeah, he can hear about the things that are going on there because he's friends with Jalen also. And he can see, like, he's going to gauge, like, kind of his position and what's going on with the Raptors. And he's going to feel pretty good, honestly. Davidson, well, the problem with Houston is we got to deal with the whole arena giving Fred a fucking bow and all that shit. No doubt he will have his best shooting game ever when he comes back here. I don't know if that's true. And yes, Fred deserves a hero's welcome when he comes back to the Scotiabank Arena in February. I'll be at that game myself, and I will be cheering for him when he comes back. So I'll be a part of the problem, David. Adonde saying that dinner Darko promised was a toonie special at KFC. That's a pretty good crack on that right now. I don't even want to talk about the dinner. He should never brought it up in the first place. He should have just showed it after it happened. Let's see. I'll read this one because it looks like it's about the Knicks. Raptors Freak. Knicks had a lot of assists in their win versus the Raptors last night. 36 total assists. They did. They were passing very well. Randall had a big game with 34 points. Hart and Grimes got 10 plus points, and we didn't have quickly available. And David's giving you a cookie. So I'm giving David a dunk because he's hilarious for giving you a cookie on that. Listen, yeah, I did mention this stuff about Hart and Grimes and them playing well off the bench. And once I'll say this, Julius Randle was the one who won that game the most last night. He was the dominant player in the game, and he won that game for y'all because he was the man and he played the best on the court out of everybody that played on the court. OG was good too, don't get me wrong. And we have other guys that could have played better, that could have been the man and taken over and been the number one guy for the whole game. But Randall was the player of the game by far. And there's your cookie from David. Yeah, Cool Cat saying, Lex, proud of you finally coming around to understanding that the roster is not complementary to our best players' skill set. I didn't want to upset you. I know y'all have been saying this. It's just that I'm like, no. I really don't want. That's like a last ditch thing to me, like changing the roster. And when it feels like, all right, this is absolutely true. You guys are saying it. I finally agree that it's really something that I don't want to push for unless it really isn't working, and that means trying every single damn thing to try and make it work. And I have to agree with you guys at this point. So there you go. Cool Cat's happy that I finally understand this, and I'm admitting that what you guys have been saying is right. Yeah, it takes me a little longer because in some ways that kind of change, I don't take it like easy. It's not something that you want to just go into like, oh, quickly. Like you really have to rationally think about it. Is this really the right thing to do? And at this point, I think it is. I think it is. Yeah. Thanks for the cutoff, guys. Time is even correct on that clock. Sick. Time. All right. Let's see. All kinds of cutoffs. I love it. Donde's saying, real quick, as we do the home stretch here, and there is a couple other things I want to talk about, but I don't know if I'll get time. Donde's saying, non-Raptor related news. What's your thoughts on the Lakers raising that in-season joke tournament banner at crypto for winning on Saturday? Just what you said. I agree. It's a joke. It will look weird and not like natural and be kind of like cheap. But over time, there's more and more of these banners going up. Is everybody going to put a fucking banner like this up in their arenas? Well, there's going to be a lot more banners in arenas all over the place with 2 championship banners going up every single fucking year in the NBA. Yeah, in some ways, I don't totally agree with this banner thing. I think it's a little bit overkill. If you really want to make it on the same level as the NBA championship, that I don't agree with that. So, Donde, I'm with you. It is a joke. It is a joke. Infamous saying Noel is the only reason to watch 905, in my opinion. Grady, also Jonte. Fiercely saying Adonde, here are my thoughts. That's pretty good. Wayne saying interesting segment on music, Lex. Thanks. BET Source are agents of negativity. It's a club. It's like you're either in or out. And in some ways, they have disregarded African American and Black musical artists and other genres. And there is a rich history of amazing artists that they probably overlooked that they could have had involved with things like Living Color and Lenny Kravitz. And I think it's just really interesting, Corey Glover's opinion that he espoused yesterday on Instagram. I think he's exactly right. And it's sad. In fact, he called it white supremacy, that BET's engaging in white supremacy by blocking out black rock artists from being involved just because of the idea that rock music is white music. It's a crazy topic. And because I'm so interested in music and in culture and race issues, this is something that is a very interesting thing to say. In some ways, I want black people to come back and take rock music back for themselves. I really do. I mean, there's a rich history of great rock and roll from black people. You can go way back to what is her name, Rosetta, the guitarist. That lady was awesome back in the day. And then you got Jimi Hendrix, of course. Holy crap! So yeah, there's a lot of very interesting stuff in this subject to talk about. David saying, smash a like before you leave. Jillian saying that plantar fasciitis was inconvenient. Yes. Lumpy saying, I think senior and junior are working in the media in order to get Gary paid, and Gary is purposely throwing his shots to force the team to start him. I think Messiah knows this, and they keep him on the bench. Yeah, if Gary's going about it that way, fuck that. We don't deal with terrorism. No, we don't. You want to fucking throw your game to give more of the people that are out there saying he should start to fix him? Fuck that. That's not the way to do it, Gary. And it's right. If that's the way he's doing it, he should definitely not be starting, y'all. Seriously. Darius Rucker said the same thing a few years ago. Yeah, with him, it's a weird thing because his band is very kind of like not black. Let's just put it that way. Hootie and the Blowfish is in some ways, I mean, I get it. But in some ways, the rest of the band is white, and he's like the only black guy in it. In some ways, he doesn't have as much cred in this as Lenny Kravitz or even Living Color for sure. So I don't know, but yeah, I've heard Darius Rucker said something similar to this before in the past too, and it should include him also for sure. Lumpy saying it doesn't make sense that Gary's shit has gotten so bad. His form is just fine. If you check Gary's vibe, he never gets upset about the losses. Okay, no more comments. Thank you. Gary knows too much. Who knows? And maybe y'all are insinuating some things. If he's trying to do that shit, it's the wrong way to do things. I don't think that's true though. He's smart. I think he's just actually playing like shit right now. Most saying keep up the great stream. Always Lex positive vibes. Only go Raptors for life. Lumpy saying I had to get my report from behind enemy lines. There you go, Lumpy. Wherever you're going and what you're doing, just keep doing it. And Jillian saying Whoopi Goldberg also had the same BET type of experience. Yeah, and I brought up Little Richard. Lumpy Rex saying, I guess I missed the cutoff. The info will die. Country Con saying, Lex, Malachi is not a failure. He does his best given his role and the players he's asked to play with. The only time I thought we might win was when he was in the game. Glad Grady played. Peace, y'all. You know what? If I said he was a failure today, I didn't mean to. It was just a failure with that layup. That one layup was a fail. But no, I agree. I think that he had the best minutes out there, and maybe he should have been playing near the end of the game. I will get behind you on that, JP. Kenny's here. Good to see Kenny. I was hoping by now Siakam and OG would have been a 1 and 2 combo. Yeah, okay, Kenny. Good to see you back. One of the original Router Freaks. This guy's been with me since this channel started. We appreciate you, Kenny. I hope you're doing really well. Stargate saying the magnetic rims were activated at MSG last night. I often wonder about this. Like if there's some sort of foolery like going on with like saran wrap over the rims or some shit like that. Sometimes it feels like the rims are not very nice and they're pushing things out. Most saying, yeah, Lex, Gary Trent Jr. does not speak to the media much, says a lot. I'm with you there. And Lumpy saying, exactly, Lex, Gary takes it so seriously. They would use the media to get the paycheck. Makes sense that Gary would leak the selfishness stuff about Fred. This is my theory. So you're going even way back that you think Gary was part of the problem last year, too. That's interesting. Jillian saying, I've complained in reference to Matt and Jack to the Raptors before. So, yes, I turn it off. Yeah, I don't mind Matt and Jack. I love during the game. I know Matt can get a little down, but it's the round people. It's like the people that are in the break and those kind of people that just really bug me. I love Matt and Jack, though. I'll listen to them. But it's the setup people that bug me. Lumpy saying, I think Gary purposely hurt the team. Nick was all in, and even his burner account called out Gary. Yeah, that's interesting too. The whole interaction, and Gary has been dismissive and talked shit about Nick Nurse, or at least Jordan Bolton did it for him. So Nick and Fred were thrown under the bus. Yeah, in some ways, our fan nation was really out of pocket last year. Cool Cat saying, Lex, it's a rebuild. That's how Raptors rebuild a team. The reset comes at you in subtle instead of full blowout. Some fans don't understand how we rebuild. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I would say it's a rebuild to an extent. And it's not like you level the whole house and you just start over. Tristan saying, I like when Precious got an assist with his headband in his hand. I missed that. I don't know why I didn't see that. Stargate saying that's who we're talking about, Lex, Pascal, and Scotty. That's right. I figured that. Norma saying he didn't put the starters in until bench was down 7. Yeah, yeah, he had to. They were starting to lose again. They were slipping it, and he had to bring them back. Fred had gravity. He and Pascal were always amongst the league leaders in double teams, so that helps people come open. Yeah, that's a good point. G saying we'll continue watching every game and every 9 to 5 game. At this point, we watch them grow. We can come here to vent at least. Yeah, and we can do progress checks and kind of talk about the things we like and things we don't. And that's what we do every day. I love it. David's saying too early to give up, G. You know that. See, this is the right attitudes. In some ways, I don't know if we were ready to do this 2 years ago when I started this channel. Some people are allowing it to let it go right now. We're doing the frozen. And in some ways, this is just the only healthy alternative to do with what's happening with the team right now. Let's see. G saying, not giving up. Trust me. Just knew and know growth is not linear and will be up and down, and that's okay. It will come together. And Mel gets a foul. Yeah, he got one strike for bringing the tank up. And once again, let's not bring up the country that's at war doing genocide right now for a little while, please, because in some ways I don't need the extra time, especially when she's over. Now, if I'm here by myself, I'll go for 4 hours, but she wants to hang out, wants to watch a movie with me and do fun stuff like, eat lunch. Carlos say, proud of everyone here. Sanity in the sea of madness is Raptors fandom. Haha. Well, if anything, once again, Carlo, we're giving that oasis of positive space for Raptors fans to just be Raptors fans and not get caught up in the jaded, fucked up, crazy ass, insulting, and crazy shit that's going on in other places. Go Raptors. All right, let me just real quick do a recap run up and we'll be done at 2.5 hours. That's not too bad. Tonight, we are playing the Delaware Bluecoats in Mississauga. Raptors 905 in action tonight at 7:30. So watch the game. Angel Kent is the crew chief. Ashley Gloss is the referee. And Mary Mallow is the umpire. So there's your crew for last night. For tonight, 3 stars for the game last night against the Knicks for me were Anunoby, Schroeder, and Flynn. They were the 3 best players to me, in my opinion. Now, real quick, and this is something I'm going to talk about on Sunday in depth for a Sunday report this weekend. The Raptors are firing back at the Knicks, and they're hinting at a defamation countersuit for all this bullshit that is going on right now. I'm just going to touch on this for a second right now, that the Raptors are saying that they are going to countersue for messing with our reputation, with what James Dolan's doing with this stupid lawsuit. On Sunday, I'm going to do an in-depth on the MSG lawsuit that's going on right now. And we're going to talk about where it is and what's going on and what realistically is going to be the outcome of it. So tune in on Sunday. If you are interested in the Knicks lawsuit against the Raptors, I will be going very, very in-depth on it, 60-minute style on Sunday special report this Sunday coming up, y'all, just so you know. Raptors Instagram check real quick. We got Ephraim's, everybody's uncle's birthday. Chris Boucher celebrating his manager and best friend's birthday today. Happy birthday to everybody's uncle. Grady Dick has got a birthday wish for DeJuan Harris, Kansas Jayhawk teammate. So happy birthday to DeJuan Harris from Grady Dick. So good to see the friendships. Mohamedou Gueye, all kinds of cool stuff on his Instagram stuff. Pictures of him traveling around with the 905, pictures of him with Miles Burns and Justice Winslow in different places around town, shopping, stuff like that. Let's see. We got Jack and Matt taking a picture with Mike Breen in the MSG last night. And there's Kyle Lowry wearing a pink jumpsuit. And then there's Marquise Noel, and he's got something on blast. I don't know. The Raptors Instagram check is pretty interesting. Dennis has got some stuff for sale, as usual. Also, I forgot to mention this on the stream yesterday. I wanted to yesterday. I'm going to mention it now. Kevin Pelton of ESPN has come out with his too early All-Stars, who he thinks is going to be the All-Star team, and he has put Scotty Barnes in the Eastern Conference starters. He thinks that Scotty Barnes will start in the All-Star game with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That he has literally written this. Along with Maxey, Barnes is one of the leading contenders for most improved player thanks to his third-year breakout. Barnes has boosted his usage rate from 20% to 24% with more ball handling duties after Fred VanVleet's departure, but his dramatic development as a three-point shooter has improved his efficiency. Barnes is filling out the box score with 9.2 rebounds and a combined 3 steals and blocks per game, the league's 7th best total. So that's awesome. That's interesting that Kevin Pelton is picking Scotty Barnes as a starter for the All-Star in his ESPN article. This is not bad press. And honestly, that the voters, the people like what Scotty's doing in his highlights and things across the NBA. He could get voted in as a starter, very much like Vince Carter did way back. He's a popular player and people like him, and they're recognizing that Scotty has very, very insane powers. So this is really, really good. ESPN putting out propaganda saying that they think Scotty Barnes is an all-star starter, y'all, not even on the team. And Orlando Nation's pissed off. They're saying, "Where's Paulo? Where's Paulo? Where's Franz?" No, 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 no. There's a defensive side of the ball, and the voters will respect that, and that's awesome. So there you go. A little bit of news about that. All right, we're done, y'all. I'm gonna finish it right now. Just read your last couple comments real quick. Go Raptors from Lumpy Rex. I love that. And Fiercely saying, "Enjoy your lunch, Lex, and thank you for the stream." And thank you, Edmund Race Mode Daily. Y'all, awesome. I appreciate everybody, y'all. In some ways, these games after these losses, I dread to an extent because I don't know how it's going to be. But y'all make this a lot easier. And y'all, I know I'm helping make it easier for y'all also. So that's a two-way street. And thank God we're here for each other. If we were all just lonely, singular Raptors fans on our own, we may not be dealing with this as well. In some ways, this is group therapy. And this is important that we show as role models for each other how to deal with the adversity of our team losing so badly right now. I appreciate having a Raptor Freak family, and I hope that you guys do too. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and share. And let's go Raptors!